Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
That time of the night once again. Spaced Out Radio is live. My name is Dave Scott. Good to have you with us. Merle it up while you're in the audience. Hello, it's Ghost of the Great White North tonight, which means our main man Merle is here. He is back for the Paranormal Road Trippers. We're talking UK ghosts tonight with John from GSI Paranormal in the United Kingdom. Before we bring in John and Ralph, we will say hello to everyone in our chat room tonight. Race fan in the gold medal position. Akryong takes home the silver. Returning with a bronze medal is Michael Morris. And look at Race fan kicking off the Merling already tonight. Gorgeous Dirt Road, good to see you. There's Luscious Jewels. Mennonite Abe, thanks for joining us. Wes H, good to see you. Hey, Big Bad Shane, nice to have you here. The gorgeous Aussie Ange is here. And there's Logan L, the gorgeous Cosmic Fleur. Nightmare, how you doing? The lovely Kathy Evans has returned. And who else do we have here? I know we got Grand Paul Holland hiding around here. I know you're driving, Grand Paul Holland. Drive safe, buddy. All right, there he is, giving a Merle right there. There's our man Nicola hanging out there. And there's Double Tim, good to see you. Todd Purdon, nice to have you here. And, of course, the Gong Show is here. Yeah, Grandmaster Gong Show. He'll be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio, if you don't mind, to the left of the studio. The stunning Marilena is here as well. She's never signed autographs before. So tonight she's signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio for Marilena. To the right. All right. Michelle Nichols, welcome to the show. And who else do we have here? Well, let's take a little bit of a look here. Simon Condon, good to see you. Stunning Steph Dickey, Dirty Filth, Mr. Lurks-a-Lot, nice to have you all here. As we scroll on down, oh, there's Filth with a big bad Merle right there. All right, let's move on here. And we have Knocker Flash. Welcome to SOR's channel. Enzo, nice to see you. Obi Flett, good to see you, buddy. Thanks for coming on in. And there's another Merle for Merle. And Doug Shelby is here, everyone. The Doug Shelby has arrived. The gorgeous and talented Kira, good to see you. Thank you for joining us. Stephen Finnegan from the UK, good morning to you. And Merle is even Merling himself right there. All right, JR, nice to have you back, buddy. As we continue on with roll call, Richard Elmore, good to see you. Thanks for joining us. And the lovely Nicole Perron, nice to have you here. And Pinzer Flactum, looking good tonight. Looking good. Sugar Britches, nice to see you. And who else do we have here? We have, let's see. There's UFO Lover 115. Good to have you back. The gorgeous Helena, nice to see you. And who else is joining us? Terry Brown is here. Vanner Smith, the lovely Lauren, good to have you here. And who else do we have here? Our man Millennium. We love it when Millennium is here. That's right. And let's see, $5,900. Good to see you. Downshift, nice to have you here as well. And Stephen Wolf, nice to see you. And who else is here? Oh, I don't know. Stephen Edmond. And look at all the Merles popping up. Gorgeous Pam McSee, nice to see you. Let's get the radio side started because we don't want to forget about that. That's kind of important. All right. The JoJo Bones Show, nice to have you here. And Merle it up. Well, yeah, we're Merling all right. Look at this, Merle. Merle has got this smirk on his face. He's like, oh, I love this. I love this. You know, he has no body odor right now. I'm just telling you that right now. Stunning Samantha, Hazelwood Gray, Steve Wolf, Parasolo, Vinman even Merling right there. That's right. Just boom, Merle it out just like that with a nice super chat. Steven, thank you so much for the super chat, man. We really do appreciate the love and support that you have for this show. The super chat is a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. Jeffrey DeRuin, hey, there's the scowling man, Greg O'Brien. We love that guy around here. And gorgeous Jessica McCreary, Apollo 11. Aussie Rob, how's them ham hocks? Let us know. Mr. Eon from the UK, good to see you, buddy. Philip Bacca's merling it up. Mr. Lee 3PO. Guys, I got to cut it off right there because it is time to raise your horns. And it is time to rock. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and now on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. Yeah, it's going to be a great evening of paranormal tonight. It's the return of Merle and Ghosts of the Great White North as we head across the pond to talk some spooky ghost stories. Then in hour 3, we got a great story from Swamp Dweller in our segment we call The Swamp. Fedora John will be back with the UFO report. Shirky Poo's got the news and the thought of the day if we could get to it. All right, it's that time of the month again where we bring in our good friend Merle to host Ghosts of the Great White North. Merle is an accomplished paranormal investigator out of Vancouver, British Columbia. His team, the Paranormal Road Trippers, which you need to go to the YouTube channel and bring that on up and hit subscribe there. He has investigated all over British Columbia, along with areas in Washington State, as well as Oregon. His goals are to find critical answers to solving some of these paranormal mysteries. And tonight, we have John and Ralph from GSI Paranormal over in the United Kingdom. They're a small group of friends with a passion for all things paranormal and all things for Halloween. They share their results from all of their investigations, and they really try to do things right in a very spooky place. Let's bring them all in here as we say hello to absolutely everyone here. And Merle, I want to kind of start with you here, buddy, because for a lot of people, we don't know, we got a new little bit of action that you and I are doing. This is our first time to talk about it. So we want to say thank you already, because for those of you who don't know, Merle and I recently started a brand new YouTube channel called Canada's Great Unknown. We've got over 380 subscribers in 2 weeks, which I'm blown away by that love and support. But number 2, we're creating spooky stories that people have told us over time to convert them into these few-minute stories for your entertainment enjoyment. And so far, Merle, it's been pretty cool.
It's been fun. I've been enjoying making the videos. I enjoy listening to your voice. You tell good stories, Dave.
Well, I try. You know, I do have a face for radio, Merle.
Absolutely.
That is 100% true. I can't even argue that. But I gotta say thank you to everybody who has so far hit subscribe and tuned us in. And I've done a couple of radio appearances mentioning the new Canada's Great White North, and we've had people from all over Canada starting to hit subscribe because they heard us on that. But this is a lot of fun on this new project from Merle and I, and we just want to share the love. And I'll put the link in if you haven't subscribed. A little bit later, I will put the link in our YouTube chat room, so that way you can check it on out. Canada's Great White North. We'd appreciate your love and support as we move forward on that. Merle, I'm going to get you to introduce our guests here because they're up at like 5 o'clock in the morning their time to hang out with us.
Yes, first off, I would like to say good morning, guys.
Good morning, good evening.
Yes, thank you for coming on. You guys are from England, and I'm actually quite excited to talk to you guys about how you guys ghost hunt on that side of the pond. Tell us about your team. Tell us what got you involved in the paranormal.
Do you want to go first, Ralph?
Yeah, can do. So, I mean, I've been into the paranormal since I was a kid. It's just, I think it's one of those things, either you get into it or you get into it really late. It's one of, it tends to be one or the other. So yeah, and that's normally through experience, or you've had an experience, something like that. In my case, it's just literally picking books up and reading it and going, wow, what's this all about? I want to know more. I've got to find out more. And as you get older, obviously you start getting into these things. And it was say 2018 when me and John hooked up and sort of like started going out and doing things that we'd already done individually through our lives, and put it together and decided YouTube was a good hit, and off we went investigating with minimal equipment, and it was substandard. He wouldn't even make bead movies out of it. It was that sort of level, but you got to start somewhere, aren't you? So, and it was just great to share it with everyone else, just to show that we're authentic. We could go out there and get nothing, but we're like, this is what we've got, nothing. We're not in here for Hollywood kudos or anything. We just want to get out there and show you how true things can be.
And I gotta say, the one thing that I admire about you guys too is that if you don't have anything, you didn't find anything, you still present that. I think more teams need to do that. More teams need to talk about that. Like I just put a movie on, or a video on YouTube on my Paranormal Road Tripper channel, and I was gonna scrap it, but I'm like, oh man, I love the intro to my video, so I'm just gonna go. I was being a little narcissistic with my intro to it, and I put a whole video on of the investigative process from start to finish with absolutely no evidence, because nothing happened in this supposedly extremely haunted cabin in the middle of the mountains.
Yeah, sweet.
I think it's important to be, as a paranormal investigator, completely transparent.
Yes.
The audience, they're not daft. They know if you're faking it, fudging it, or just trying to fill the gaps with something to entertain them. It's not entertaining. Well, it's not for us. It's a serious hobby, if you like, for us. And so, like you say, if you find nothing, present nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And away you go.
John, what got you into the paranormal?
Oh God! I mean, I've been into it for many, many years now. I mean, as a child, I was seeing many, many strange things, which I couldn't explain. But when you're a kid, you're always, well, I was anyway. I was afraid of the dark, afraid of my own shadow. So it was more. I was frightened by everything that I was seeing, and because I didn't understand it, I sort of like tried to shy away from it, close it off, that sort of thing. Until my adult years, when things were still happening, but I sort of like came around to the thinking that they'd not hurt me so far, so maybe I should try and find out what was actually happening, what was going on. And then, like Ralph says, I'd been out on my own, many investigations, reading books, things like that, trying to educate myself into what was actually happening. And then I worked for a contractor and actually met up with Ralph at the place that he worked just by chance. We got chatting, and here we are 4 years later. YouTube channel, all the social media, Paraflix, TV show. It's crazy how things work out.
It was good. I was watching your YouTube channel and some of the stuff you sent on the Instagram chat, and it's good. I like it. How about you, Ralph? What got you into it way back in the day?
I think for me again, it was minor experiences. But the thing that sticks out of my head, I mean, I must have been only about 7 years old, and I used to remember picking this old ghost book up. And I mean, by today's standards, you look at the pictures and you just laugh at them. You know, it was almost Disney-like illustration. But I always remember this set of arms coming out of a waterfall somewhere in Australia that looked like so bizarre. And I was like, wow, this can't be possible. I've got to check this out. I mean, along there, they had the famous pictures of the brown lady on the stairs, the picture of the alleged ghostly figure next to a massive tombstone and that in a church, you know, it was things like that. But yeah, it all started from there. And again, like John said, minor experience, you know, from that point onwards, really.
I really want to get over to the UK and do ghost hunting. I was telling John off air before we started. I lived in the UK for a year.
Right.
2005, somewhere around there, long time ago. I had 2 experiences, and I've never really talked about them because one's really weird, makes me sound kind of like a creeper, but I'll share it with you guys. I'll just throw it out there. No, I don't care. No shame. I lived in southeast London. The building I lived in was old, like every other building in London, 1800s, which is old to us, but still a baby to you guys. And it used to be a brothel in the late 1800s, allegedly. And before that, because it was close to the Tower of London, on the other side of the river. And allegedly they did jousting there. There were old jousting, I don't know, what do they call them, pits, or I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was coming home from work because I worked at a pub in central London. And it was probably 2 a.m. and I was coming up to the 3rd floor. There are no elevators there. You have to take the stairs. And
That must have killed me.
Oh, dude, heart attack. And no, I was thin then because stairs. And I go to use the washroom before bed, like brush my teeth and stuff, whatever. And no word of a lie, there was a woman in, I call it Jack the Ripper era. I guess that's Victorian era.
Yeah.
Mint green dress, mint green like nylons, half transparent in a way, Irish red hair, and just looked at me, flipped the dress up, and then I'm like, what the, I can't say the F word, and gone. I was gone. And that scared the living bejesus out of me. And yeah, that was one of my ghost stories of the UK.
Flashed up by the dead. Nice one.
Yeah.
We've not had that yet, I must say.
So I guess that would be
hit the edit button right off the bat there. That wouldn't have been good. Would not.
But I guess that would be seeing like one of the first times I saw like an in color apparition that was like as clear as me to you guys. And I wasn't drunk. I wasn't on any substance. I was stone cold sober, just coming home from work. And I was right there. And I don't tell that story often because I find it a little too weird to tell, in my opinion.
Actually, this ghost from the 1800s actually flashed you?
The flasher ghost. Yep.
No way.
Yeah, dude, it was weird.
Oh,
strange.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you're thinking Jack the Ripper era, Mel, then I mean, primarily he did hunt prostitutes who would have done that to try and get a trick. So maybe.
And I asked the manager of the building the other day, I'm like, this happened. Don't judge me. However, and he said that's been seen before, and there's been different types of ghostly apparitions of that sort of nature throughout the building.
Wow.
Dover Castle Hostel off the Borough Tube Station, if you want to go investigate it.
Put it on the list, Ralph.
I want to ask you guys, because Merle has already hit his word quota for this half hour. pretty much for the night. But I want to ask you guys, because you said something very good, that, you know, you guys are you know, you're out there to have a lot of fun. You're out there to have a good time and go with the spirits. So many paranormal teams out there are literally out there, bragging about their science and their skepticism and trying to be all serious and the most horrid poses you've ever seen on websites, for the photos. Why do you guys take such a different track and a different way of doing things comparatively to everybody else who thinks they're the second coming of Zach Bagans and Ghost?
Well, personally, from my point of view, it's because I want to treat the audience as normal human beings. They're smart. They're not daft animals. So we're transparent. We're just ourselves when we go out. We've got a team who bounce off each other very well. We feed off each other, and we're not trying to pull the wool over anyone's eyes. We're just being ourselves. And I think the audience can realize when they're watching it, if you're trying to fake something, or if you're, like you say, trying to mug it up to the camera or put yourself in these poses. We don't do that. We're just ourselves. And we find that we get better results. We enjoy it more. We just go out and be, like I say, be ourselves. And I think people appreciate that. What they're seeing is the real article.
And that's important, though, because I think so many times what we see going on in the paranormal is, these weekend warriors who try and act tough on locations and try and act tough with other teams and try and act tough, almost a bullying type of sensation here.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, how is that over there? Like, do a lot of your paranormal teams get along? And do you guys, with your team, try and bring everybody together?
Oh, 100%. We do have paranormal teams that we've red flagged, if you like, if you want to call it that are out there to make money, not to study the science, I suppose, study the paranormal. We're in it for the paranormal. We enjoy doing it. We get out as a group of friends, we socialize. That's it to us, but they're not interested in that. They just want to monetize as much as possible. But unfortunately, we do get some bullying, but we don't associate with teams like that. Instantly we get any of that, we just cross them off the list straight away. We always open our services for free to other paranormal groups. They contact us, ask us advice. For instance, last week, Paranormal in History is a new group up in Scotland. And they do a podcast, but they've just started going out on investigations, and we've known them for about 6 months to a year now. We sent them 2 of our older video cameras for free so they could get out and start investigating properly, because they was doing it on phones and things like that. And, we've got really good equipment, because obviously we're filming for Paraflix. We needed the equipment to show that. So our old cameras, we sent them there for free to hopefully we could help them out. And that's what we do. And we invite other teams to get in contact with us if they ever need any help.
Really? Okay. So for you guys, as you guys, you take your investigation seriously, but you don't take the overall subject very seriously, if that makes sense. I mean, you're there to find answers. You're there to, communicate with the spirits on the other side. And I think that's great, because I'll be honest with you, I am one of the biggest critics of the paranormal. And Merle can attest to this point blank, that there is not a lot I like about this field, not because of the ghosts, not because of the investigation, but because of all the fakery that goes along with it, the judgment that everything goes on. How do you guys keep your spirits up? You say you don't hang out with these people. You got your teams that you just stay away from, but how do you keep the momentum going and the fun in it all?
Just stay true to yourself. I mean, at the end of the day, we're not actors first and foremost. We're not there to audition for Hollywood or anything. Like you, I get fed up of seeing these investigations with it's the most haunted place ever, never going back again. You got pictures of them rolling around on the floor like they've been hit by something from an Avengers film or something like that. And you're like, and then all of a sudden, 3 videos down the line, they're back there again. And you're like, well, hang on a minute, you said you weren't going back there again. What's going on? We keep sitting around saying, find us the hauntedest location, the scariest place, and we'll go in there. We've been in some alleged haunted locations that they're supposed to be the scariest place on the planet, and we've done it solo. And it's just sort of like, yeah, we'll go in there and to answer how do we keep going, stay true to yourself. We are trying to get, like everyone else, that ultimate piece of evidence. And if that means we've got to go in there and be who we are and get it, then so be it. We're not going to turn around and be Hollywood actors in the process.
So, and I like the fact that for you guys, it's not about fame, it's not about fortune, it's not about, trying to get that big television contract. You guys are out there trying to communicate, trying to solve some of these very interesting and intriguing messages that we may get from the other side, whether it's life after death or whether it's, take me to your leader, whatever it may be. I mean, after all these years, do you still have that much fun, even though there's still that much more responsibility?
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah.
Always.
Yeah. We wouldn't be doing it if not. We wouldn't be doing it. I mean, there's so many locations, both discovered and undiscovered, and it's just, you just keep going out there and you never know what's around the corner. I mean, it's just one of those things, So, yeah, we keep going out there, and the day we stop enjoying it, is the time when we're going to call it. But at the moment, that's like several horizons away. We've got so much more we want to accomplish, and we're all about paranormal over profit, as we say. If things come our way through the process of us doing what we do, then great. If we can do it, we'll take it. But we don't go out to set off to do that. It's
no, and I think if stuff does come from it, it will always be ploughed back into the GSI team for better equipment, better locations, because a lot of the locations on this side are paid for, some of them £700-800 just for 4 or 5 hours. So it would give us the opportunity to get into these so-called most haunted locations. At the moment, obviously, we all work full-time jobs as well. Finances, when you're paying that out as well as trying to live your family life and pay your bills, it's difficult. So if something monetized did come that way, then that's what that would go to. Like Ralph said, we're not after riches, we're after the proof, and we love what we do. And the team, I think we love what we do mainly because of the team. We've got such a fun team together. We bounce off each other, and it's always a giggle between us. It always is.
Well, one of our good listeners, Mr. Eon, in our chat room, he's like, how do my wife and I join GSI? We'd love to join you guys. and I have to tell you that if Mr. Eon was looking for another career, he has one of those golden voices that should be like reading books, like yeah, beautiful voice, and he's got fantastic hair too. And no offense, he could really help you guys out in that.
Well, I mean, if he ever came over to the UK, I assume he doesn't live in the UK.
Yes, he does.
Oh, does he? Whereabouts does he live?
I don't know. Somewhere over there. It's all the same. It's one road to me, right?
Well, pretty much, yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. It'll pop up in the chat room where he's from, but
we always take the YouTube subscribers that we have as a thank you for subscribing to the YouTube channel out on a free investigation. I mean, obviously we have to work it around our filming schedule for Paraflix, but we run subscriber events throughout the year where it's our way of saying thank you to 3, 4, 5, 6 people in a group. We take them out for the night. All they have to do is make the way to the location that we've picked. We give them the full experience free of charge. So he's more than welcome to tag along at some point.
Yeah, good man. Very good man. He's in Southport.
All right.
Southport, so that's Lancashire. So he's only a couple of hours at best away from us. So yeah, he can make his way down to Nottingham in the Midlands. It's only a few hours away.
Wonderful. Gentlemen, I'm going to get you all to hold on right there because we are going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. Ghosts of the Great White North. We got our main man, Merle, here from the Paranormal Road Trippers out of Vancouver, British Columbia. It's a full-on Commonwealth show tonight. Yes, the Queen would be happy listening to this one. Maybe she is. John and Ralph from GSI Paranormal over the United Kingdom. We're talking ghosts, spirits, Hauntings all night long. We're going to hit these guys up for some great stories from over in the UK when we return on Spaced Out Radio. All right, we're clear.
Sweet.
Nice. How long do the breaks usually take?
They're 5 minutes at the bottom.
Cool. Right, I'm going to quickly let's get to the little boys' room.
Yeah, you go.
That was a good, strong half hour. That was quick.
Merle, I cannot believe how much you spoke in that half hour.
Dude, I'm done. I'm just listening for the rest of the show.
Holy
Don't
cow.
expect any more.
By the way, you can go to our store on our website and get your Paranormal t-shirts along with your Merle t-shirts. Or you can get one like this right there with our nice big logo on it. Yep. Hello, gorgeous and talented Heather McIntyre, who will be at the Las Vegas Spaced Out Radio Party, the fan party, which takes place April 22nd and 24th at the Golden Nugget Casino in Las Vegas on Fremont Street, the old strip. We got a bunch of people coming. All you got to do is type in info@spacedoutradio.com, send an email, say, yes, I am 100% going, and then you're going to get a swag bag from us. You're going to get a swag bag because that's just how it works around here. That's just how it works. We'll make sure that it all comes along. Look at Big Bad Ralph there. I guarantee you that Ralph is a good guy to drink some beer with. I can already tell.
You reckon?
Already tell. No bullshit aside, you know.
Hey, look, I'll give you an indication about me. I don't drink alcohol. I don't touch it.
I do.
Okay, John would be good then.
Yeah. He's the alcoholic. Yeah.
What was the question?
It's all right. You missed it. It's too late, John.
Jack Daniels.
See, say no more.
Oh my goodness. Let's see here. I gotta think.
That's it now. You're under pressure break.
Early bird gets the worm.
You know what's funny? It's my last name, or sorry, my middle name. He heard it one day and just absolutely took off.
It's a fantastic.
Merle. Yep. My grandpa was from Wales, and that was his name, Merle.
Right.
It's badass.
Now I hear it 5,000 times a day.
Our audience loves it. Come on, watch this. Come on, Merle it up for Merle, people in the chat room. Merle it up. Let's get this Merle train going.
Oh boy, here it comes.
Here it comes. There's one. Here it comes. There it is. They're typing fast and furious now. I can just feel their fingers going. There, another one. There. I can't even keep up right now.
Strong Merle.
Look at Chrismo in Austria. Merle me, baby. Yes. See, I agree with Anne Celine. Merle is fun to say. Thank
Strong
you.
word. Yep.
Look at all these Merle fans. They all want autographs.
Free of charge. There'll be some Merle autographs to give away in Vegas.
You're not even coming.
My autograph, well, I'll send them to you.
Oh, God. Excuse me a sec, guys. Cat's meowing to come in.
Yep.
Have you investigated Warwick Castle?
No.
No.
We've been there for an event, but again, like I was saying earlier on, because it's one of these places where you have to pay to get in. It's all down to the finances and stuff like that. So we're just trying to get all of that sorted, and with all the politics of everything increasing over here financially, it's getting harder and harder. But it's certainly on that like wish list, if you want to say, you know what I mean. If we can get there, we'd love to investigate it. But like I say, it's just down to the finances, the driving aspects.
1 second, gentlemen. We got just about 20 seconds left. Big thank you to Stephen, Jojo, Todd, Queen, Ange, and Kira for the amazing super chats. It's a wonderful way to hang out and support this show. Thank you so much to our new subscribers. Give us a thumbs up, thumbs down. Don't forget after the show to leave a comment. And don't forget to go sign up for Canada's Great Unknown. I will put the link in the chat. Here we go. Second half hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears. Want to remind you that if you miss portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and now on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. We continue on with Ghosts of the Great White North. We got our main man Merle here, and tonight we are joined by Ralph and John from GSI Paranormal, way over in the United Kingdom. And thank you so much, guys, for joining us tonight. And let's some areas, because your ghost hunting over there, I think is, if please correct me if I'm wrong, would be a little bit different than what we got over here. Like, we don't have those 300, 400, 500 plus year old buildings or those 250-year-old bars or anything like that. You know, I'm sure the ghost hunting is the same, but the locations are a hell of a lot more different. So tell us about some of these locations, Ralph, if you don't mind, that you have had the pleasure to investigate.
I think, yeah, like you say, I mean, they are different to what you guys. I mean, we've got a lot more sort of like churches, old ruined churches and stuff like that. We love investigating that. And obviously, you know, it goes to say, you know, we've got Sherwood Forest, you know, Robin Hood, you know, and it's like not just about that. That goes back to Viking times and, you know, the history. So it's about the land as much as it is about what's put on top of it. You know, it's about what's in it and underneath it as well that you don't see. So for me, I've got to turn around and say the history for us is literally there's many places, the land and everything that's built up from that on upwards, really. So, you know, yeah, we've got buildings that are several hundred years old, you know, that you see standing, but you guys out there, you got like, you know, native, you know, Indians and stuff like that that's got groundings and stuff, no doubt, in these locations as well. You know, when I look at the stuff, it's like, wow, what I won't give to get over there and look at some of those, you know, places. But yeah, here churches are really interesting. So much history. You know, we've been to one that was connected to War of the Roses. We've got a ruins one as well that's been over at a place called Colston Bassett, which has got a monk that's allegedly seen there. We've not seen it yet, but you know, we're going to keep going back. We're not giving in easily. So yeah, for me, it's those sort of locations.
I want to ask you in regards to the history and everything that goes around. Over here, people are still, especially in Canada, very uptight about the paranormal. They don't want to admit places are haunted. You know, that whole "what will people think" type attitude. What's the attitude with people over there because the locations are so historic?
It's a lot more open. It's a lot more accepted. But as much as we hate the Hollywood umbrella of it all, then there are certain shows that sort of like taken paranormal to a more acceptable level. And for me, the way I compare it is like over here, it was like tattoos. Originally, someone with with a tattoo was considered the outcast. And like now, if you haven't got a tattoo, you're considered an outcast. You know, it's just how the times generate and go through. And I think it is about accepting it. I think for me, it's saying to people, well, just because you physically can't be seen doesn't mean you don't exist. Doesn't mean you're not there. You still got your energy and everything inside you. So it's almost like they're there and they'll believe in something as if they're a religious individual. They'll believe in praying and speaking to gods that they can't see. So why not believe in the paranormal that potentially could be there? You know, they could be there asking for the same sort of help. They could be there giving messages out. You know, you just don't know. So yeah, I think it's, for me, unfortunately, I would say it's a bit narrow-minded, really.
How about for you, John? What do you think?
Well, like Ralph says, due to certain shows being aired, it sort of opened the door, but it's a bittersweet thing because it also showed paranormal in an incorrect light as it was staged and fake. So people watched it for entertainment, and then when they see certain shows, take ours for instance, where we put up a video where nothing happens, be like, well, this is rubbish. This isn't like whatever show it was that we watched where they were running, you know, they were getting a hit every 2 seconds, running around, there's ghosts, there's things being thrown. Well, no, because that's fake. It doesn't happen that way. We could go to a location for 12 hours and get 5 minutes worth of footage because that's reality. So the programs they started to do well, but then on the swing side of that, they also, you know, the fakeness came through. So I think it was opened up, but also discouraged due to the fact that people were faking it. So that then it makes it look like all of it's fake because they give us all a bad name, sort of thing.
What do you guys do? You share your evidence with other teams? Like, how does, like, here I've noticed I'll post an EVP and people will be like, nope, that's not an EVP, that's a generator, but it's like a voice. And I feel that people look to discredit instead of be more open to, since they didn't get that EVP, it's not an EVP.
Yeah.
Is it the same over there, sort of thing?
It can be, but we try and take certain pieces of equipment that, like with an EVP, that people will try and debunk, and then we'll try and fit something to it where they can't debunk it. So, for instance, we've got a necrophonic app, Ghostbox, and it does away with the white noise, but people say, well, that can easily be manipulated by preloading words to it. So we say, okay, fair enough. So what I'll do is put noise cancelling headphones on, a blindfold, and go and sit in a completely different room to the person asking questions. So Ralph will ask a question, then I will shout the answer, but I don't know what the question is because I can't hear him. How do you debunk that?
Okay.
So we try and take the things that people can easily try and say, oh, no, it's not that, and make it difficult for them to say that.
I do something similar. We do the Estes method where we will use like an SB7 spirit box.
Yeah.
And someone will put the noise canceling headphones on and kind of ask the questions and they spit out the answer. And yeah. What, Dave, were you going to ask a question?
No, go ahead, bro.
I was just going to ask how it is. I know we touched on it a little bit earlier, but working with other teams, is the para unity strong with you guys, like over there? Or is there a lot of teams that will claim certain rights to things and kind of start the paradrama?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's a few of them. But like I said earlier in the show, we just red flagged them straight away. I mean, you know, people, like I say, will ask us, where's the best location for this, this, and this, and we'll tell them straight away. Yeah, when we first started out, I suppose we was in their shoes, so we was asking established teams certain locations, what's the best equipment, and all we was getting is, you've got to subscribe to this, you've got to pay this. You know, we can't tell you, and we've never been that way. So there are teams out there that we would sort of like discourage people to stay away from. But for us ourselves, no, we embrace it. There are teams out there that we've become really good friends with. We've got a friend in Canada, Brian from Huntophobia.
Cool.
We've never met him yet, but he's coming over in March to spend a month over here, which we've got investigations planned with him. There's plenty of English teams that we, like I say, we send equipment to, we give them advice and help, and we ask them as well for advice at times. So you get to know the group of people, which I'm sure is in all walks of life, that you need to stay away from and that you'd be happy to associate with.
What advice do you give new people that are coming into our field? Be it
Be
gear
yourself.
or how be safe. Yeah. Okay.
Be yourself and be transparent. That's the first and foremost thing. Never fake it. Don't lie to people because they'll see straight through you. Be yourself, have fun and enjoy it, and share your findings.
You see, that's the big one around here. Paranormal research has become so competitive, you know, and this is part of the issue that I have with a lot of the paranormal teams, and is that it's become so competitive. We've forgotten why we're doing this. This isn't about just talking about ghosts. There are some incredible questions and mysteries that we should be trying to solve. And with the brilliancy of the amount of people put together, you know, trying to find all this stuff. I mean, how far ahead could we be if there wasn't this idiotic competitiveness within the paranormal community, John?
Yeah, if we all came together as a whole, it would be so much better. It really would. We'd be leaps and bounds in front because everyone would be sharing their information, the tips, the hints, the best way to capture things. And yeah, it would be so much better. But unfortunately, you know, the dollar signs flash in front of people's eyes. They're not in it for the science, as I say. They're not in it for finding the answers. They're in it for themselves to make money. And that's not what the paranormal's about.
I just look at it as, you know, I'll as I've said before on this show, I am paranoid about dying.
Right.
Paranoid. Freaks me out. There's literally, you know, 400,000 paranormal investigators between all of Europe and North America. I would love to have somebody maybe try and solve that question. Could be a little important to the field, you know.
We are trying.
You know, but you get these. I don't even know what to call them. Weekend warriors is probably the polite way to put it. You know, they want to lock down the locations so that nobody else can get in there. They want to hoard their evidence. Like you guys said, oh, well, you could pay us to do this, or you could join our site for a fee and all this. Why? You know, like it just doesn't make sense. You know, there are very few, as far as I know, there's only one millionaire that is currently ghost hunting. That is a millionaire off of the paranormal, and that's Zach Bagans. That's it. Nobody else.
And I always say when people ask me, do you get frightened and things like that, Dave? So what's the point in being a paranormal investigator if when the paranormal comes out, you run away screaming? On every episode of Ghost Adventures, Zach Bagans runs around screaming his head off. So what is the point? You like that nerve as well, are
you like I'm guilty. When I first started, I'd run out like a little wuss. Yeah. And that's because you're getting used to what's happening. Yeah. But like I look at my investigative style now and within like a couple of years ago and just the evolution, once the scary stuff starts happening, that's when you start to get out your notepad. That's when you start to watch your sensor. That's when you're watching your voice recorder, or you're telling your partner, be like, pay attention to XYZ. And that's when you're really starting to log that evidence for your research. And that when stuff starts to happen, that really weeds out the, as Dave calls them, weekend warriors from the researchers.
Absolutely.
And if you want to be a weekend warrior, that's cool. Go pay and do the paratourism, but leave the research to like us guys, you know?
Yeah.
So,
yeah. But like you say.
But John and Ralph, to kind of add to that, as a community, are we doing enough to try and solve these mysteries?
Some of us are. But everyone has to come into it with an open mind. I'm not saying that you have to believe, but there's a lot of things in the world, in the universe, that we just don't understand, whether it's scientific or whatever. You know, we're discovering new things every day. I believe that certain aspects of the paranormal are just things. We don't understand it because we've not discovered the answer for it yet. But that's what we're doing. We're looking for that answer. And at some point, I'm sure we'll find it.
What do you think, Ralph?
Yeah, same again. I think pretty much echoing what John said. I mean, whilst ever we've got science turning around and going, it's not possible, we're up against the barrier straight away. We are looking for that ultimate piece of evidence. And yeah, you've got your weekend warriors just proving to the scientists that, things are blown out of proportion, not done correctly. They're going to turn around and say, well, if it can't be controlled in a lab or anything, then it's not possible, So at the end of the day, we're like there, it's one of those sort of like things where we turn around, you know what, we're going out there, we're going to get it. We're not the weekend warrior. We're not going to run away. I mean, crikey, me and John, we've been some places and it's been like we've been backed up, like we've been surrounded by spirits and we just don't know what it is. It was like OK Corral moment, it was.
Well, Ralph, you bring up a good point here. Tell us that story. How did you get surrounded? Where were you? Give us that detail.
So yeah, we was at a place called Witch's Wood, which is pretty famous for having a lot of dark energy in it, and also witchcraft aspects acting there, down to the extent where the police have been and investigated this little piece of woodland. So we said, right, yeah, we're game on, we'll go for that then. We got taxi drivers that won't drive down the local road because of fear of seeing this figure that latches onto the car. When they look in the rearview mirror, they just see this figure latched on the back of the car. So it was like, yeah, just bring it on, we'll go there then. You know what I mean? And we actually did a solo there. So John went in from one side of the woods and I drove around to the other side, and we went in and hit it from two different angles individually. When we met up, we got to one point and it was, you could feel the intensity, the feeling of you're not alone, but you couldn't see anything. It's almost like you're trying to define what is like, is fear taking over me? Is it emotions taking over? Is this something actually paranormal? But when you get that aspect where you look at it and you just think, did they just see something behind the back of that tree? Did they see something just behind? But when you get that times by thousands of trees in there and it's all around you, and we literally backed up and we could not believe it. It was like, which is the safest route out? And, we couldn't find one at that point. We couldn't explain it because visually, audio as well, there was nothing there, but the feeling of that, I've never had that before in my life. And we've been back to that location, and I'm not joking, it's been the complete opposite. It's just been a nice walk in the dark, and it just goes to show what a location can or can't bring. But yeah, that was one hell of a, that was one of the moments for me, especially anyway, I think.
And that episode's on your YouTube channel, right? I'm pretty sure
it is. Yeah,
I watched that one, and that was kind of cool to watch. And I can echo on the feeling. Personal experiences are huge. We log our personal experiences too. Just because we don't have an EVP or some sort of whatever on our cameras, you still have feelings. I think your body is a really good tool for the paranormal.
Yep. Absolutely.
You don't have to be a psychic. You don't have to be a skeptic, but your gut knows what's up.
Yeah.
It does.
And then watching that episode, watching you guys, it's like you guys got pretty good testicular fortitude to go from one end of the forest and into the other, and just be like, "Oh yeah, I'm going. I don't care if there's a witch, there's witchcraft. I'm in.
I think I was actually broadcasting that live at the time when I did my section, and that is pretty much the comments that we was getting. Your testicular fortitude, you ridiculous, both of you. It was like, thank you, but that's what we do.
I need a hype man before going in to do that.
It was a fun night.
Yeah, but those are the best experiences though, because you have the stories and you have the personal experiences to log.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Next hour, I want to talk about experiences, because I know one of you guys said you got scratched.
That was me.
Yes, I want to talk about that in detail.
Sure, no problem.
Why can't we do it this half hour? We got 5 minutes left.
All right, let's talk about it. Let's.
It's going to be pretty boring, Merle, if we have nothing to talk about.
Dude, we got lots to talk about. Lot.
Well, yeah. So I got put onto a location called Ivy House in Cheshire from it was an urban explorer who'd gone in, And he'd admitted that they'd done a Ouija board with his friends and not closed it down properly. And then a couple of weeks later, he went in with his girlfriend, and via the ghost box, they got the name Zozo come through. For anyone that doesn't know, Zozo is sort of like linked to the devil, and he is a demon that likes to possess humans. So, of course, we went in. We had to. And it was a very strange location. It was a rundown mansion house, big 5-bedroom house, you know, overgrown, smashed windows, all sorts. And we was in one room, and I was in the middle of the room. I had 2 video cameras on me, 4 layers of clothing, and a backpack on. And Ralph asked, "Can you show us where you are?" And then I felt this intense heat on my back. It was almost like a branding. It didn't feel like a scratch. It was almost like being branded.
Wow.
So I swore a little bit and just asked Ralph, "Can you lift my top up? Because my back's on fire." And he lifted it up, and there's a big scratch, yay big, down the center of my back in 2 parts. I was on video the whole time that happened. So the skeptics have trouble debunking that one, which is very nice.
Absolutely. Ralph called it out. He made it happen.
Yeah, and it happened.
Ralph.
John, for a lot of people who have never been attacked by a ghost or spirit, what is that like? Explain that experience.
Well, to be honest, I was a little bit afterwards, after we reflected, I was a bit ashamed of my reaction to it, because I acted like I'd been attacked by a person. I got angry, aggressive. I started calling out, you know, in a non-respective way. But it had never happened to me before. So it was an instant reaction. It was almost like when you're walking down the street, if a person was to come up and attack you, you would retaliate. You'd get your back up, defend yourself, and that's how I reacted, sort of thing. So after reflection, it was almost like, well, I've just got the golden egg. I've just been physically affected by something we couldn't see. But at the time, yeah, I didn't react very well. So I was a bit ashamed of myself, to be honest.
It's natural.
Okay, but
sorry, go ahead, Dave.
No, go ahead, Merle.
I was just going to say it's natural. It's a natural feeling to be in the fight or flight mode because you can't control that situation. There's no opportunity to like push away the ghost from touching you or anything like that. And I had that happen to me too, where I felt a ghost go like that to me. And I tucked tail and ran. I couldn't explain the feeling it gave me. It was fear. I know we just talked about how we log our stuff when stuff's happening around us, but when you have that personal experience of being scratched or touched, it's different story.
Yeah, I had the fight, not the flight mode. And our spiritualist who was with us, she says, "You must be crazy," because when that happens to people, usually they'd be straight out that door, but you was trying to fight a ghost. But like I say, I didn't process that I'd been physically harmed by a ghost at the time. It was like I've been attacked by a person. So I reacted as such, which I do regret. It won't happen again now. I've had that experience. If I ever do get harmed or scratched or whatever again, you know, I'll be a lot more in control of my emotions next time. But it was a very emotional sort of heightened night, and I think that didn't help at the time either.
We got about 1 minute to go here, guys, before we have to go to break. When you are attacked, do you know right off the bat that it's happened, or do you just feel it over time, John?
Well, like I say, it was about 2 seconds, Dave, from when Ralph asked the question. Nothing happened, and then I could feel like my back getting hot. It was like hot, and then hotter over 2 to 3 seconds. And when it reached that 2 or 3 second mark, that's when it was like intense heat. It wasn't like a scratch, like somebody physically hurting you. It was more like heat. And that's when I said to Ralph, "Lift my top up," because my back's on fire. And it did so. And there was a big scratch right down. But you could see the scratch was actually raised up like it had just happened, physically just happened.
Wow. Yeah. Gentlemen, we're going to get into more stories with you guys when we return. We have Ralph and John from GSI Paranormal over in the United Kingdom for Ghosts of the Great White North with our good friend Merle from the Paranormal Road Trippers as we get ready for hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio. When we return, more ghost stories from these two fine gentlemen, and we'll merle it up with Big Bad Merle when we return. Spaced Out Radio's hour number 2 continues right after this. All right, guys, we're clear.
Cool.
You can get back into that in the second half if you want, Mo.
Sure.
Oh, bloody hell. Sorry, I'm knocking my laptop all of it shut.
What flavor today, Dave?
Pineapple ice.
We're going to have to get you two guys over to the UK and come investigating with us. I think we could change your mind, Dave.
Oh, no, don't get me wrong. I love going out. I do love going out. I'm not an investigator.
Yeah.
I am I'm an experiencer, and if I go out, I'm a weekend warrior. Like, I don't care about the gear. I don't care about the results. I'm not there to record anything. I just go for the experience.
Yeah.
I want to see with my eyes. I want to feel with my hands. You know, I want to merle with my voice. You know, I leave that when I go out, like with Merle. Okay, I let him do most of the good stuff because I number one, I'm so impressed with how professional he is, and I really strongly, I think Merle is one of the best, if not the best, paranormal investigator in Canada. That's my opinion. And I really don't give two flying F's what anybody else thinks. That's just my opinion. But number two, when I go out, I like to just experience it for myself. Do I like playing with the gear? Of course, it's fun.
Yeah.
You know, but I'm not an investigator. You know, it's like even when I go out in the forest here looking for Sasquatch, you know, I'm not here to prove it to anybody.
Yeah,
and even if I did get that $1 million film, I wouldn't release it.
Yeah.
Not interested in 50 years of harassment.
Yeah, precisely.
You know, just not interested in it. You know, but my sourness for the paranormal started probably, well, let's see, this show is 7 years old, 7.25 years old. The first couple years, every time I had somebody cancel on me, they were a paranormal team. Like I'm talking, like I would call them like 5 hours before showtime. Hey, we're all good for the show tonight? Yeah, we'll see you there. Call them before showtime to hook up with them, and they all of a sudden don't answer their phone.
Right.
Possession.
And that's kind of where it started. That a lot of these teams were flaky. And number two was when I kept hearing all of these teams claim that they were doing scientific investigation. And then I all of a sudden clued in, and I'm not a scientist by any means, but all of a sudden I clued in that these people know sweet fuck all about science.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Just because you're running around with a bunch of tech gear doesn't mean you're conducting anything scientific. But they started throwing around the word science like it was, you know, a hot potato, and you know like it gave them more grandeur. And then, you know, when I started hearing a couple of years ago about these idiots out there who are hoarding locations. Why?
Yeah.
Nothing scientific about hoarding locations unless you actually have a laboratory set up in this location.
Yeah.
All right. Then, you know, you go to these websites and there's always the team skeptic, and I'm sure I can nail this. Merle loves it when I do this.
There we go.
All right.
They got it. They know. They know.
You know exactly what I'm talking about. Okay. Why do you need a team skeptic? That is the biggest bullshit position on a paranormal team, is the team skeptic. If you have to have a team skeptic, your team is useless. Useless. Okay, because you don't need one. If you can't have your own skepticism to tell what is a fart and what is a door opening,
exactly.
Get out of the business.
Exactly. That's the perfect way to explain that, Dave. That is bang on, mate. That is.
Yeah.
And to me, it qualifies a great field, and it takes away from the brains and the knowledge that people have for this field. And there are some brilliant people. They don't have to have that master's degree or doctorate in psychology or science or whatever. They don't need that, because there are brilliant people who are pushing the limits, but they are held back by these morons that are out there hoarding locations and team skeptics flashing the word science. And to me, it kills the field to the point where outside of Merle, we rarely cover the paranormal on this show anymore.
I mean, it's one of those, this is how scientific we are. We use cat balls designed for animals for motion sensors. I mean, I don't know how many scientists are using them in them labs. You know what I mean?
I got a couple of those too. They're science certified.
All right,
they work well, though, Merle, don't they?
10 seconds here, guys. Hold on. Here comes hour number 2, everyone.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Here we go with hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on their terrestrial affiliates around North America and digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. What the hell is this, Clem? Ulcussel. Ulcussel? Is that it? I don't know. ULCUSCLE. Ulcussel? Well, anyways, the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you, including Rocket Out to Bumblefoot, reading up on Shirky Poo's Newswire, checking out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. I'll tell you, we're having a great time tonight with Merle from the Paranormal Road Trippers and Ghosts of the Great White North. Tonight, we are joined by John and Ralph. They are from GSI Paranormal, way over in the UK, and they're going to share some great stories with us tonight. Gentlemen, thank you so much for being a part of this show and making it a real fun evening talking ghosts.
Oh, it's an honor and pleasure. Yeah.
Absolutely. I want to ask you, like, getting back to the locations and where you were scratched and everything, have you had other interactions that closely related to ghosts, John?
Not physical. At least I don't think so. Oh, in fact, no. Actually, David, tell a lie. We did do. We did a subscriber investigation and a live at the same time and went to Colson Bassett. It's a church that Ralph mentioned earlier regarding the Black Monk of St. Mary's. Ralph wasn't with us on that night, and myself and Ralph are at completely opposite ends of the spectrum as far as the paranormal team goes. Ralph is very much, and I don't mean this in a disrespectful way, Ralph, very much by the book. He plays it very safe, where I will push my luck as far as I can go to try and edge them results out. So Ralph's, we meet in the middle when we're together, sort of thing. We bounce off each other well. But he keeps me grounded, and he wasn't there that night. So I allowed which I didn't know at the time that was a dark spirit to attach to me. I learned my lesson that night, and I was physically ill, throwing up on camera. I was very bad for about 3 days afterwards. Our spiritualists have come around and do a cleansing of my house, of myself. So yeah, the scratch was once. Then I allowed a spirit to attach to me, which we seem to think was negative, which was a very, very silly thing to do. And I won't. Well, I won't say I won't do it again. I might. I've sort of learned my lesson, but I won't be rushing to do it anyway.
What do you do in a case like that, though? Like, so you get an attachment on you. Like, I've had a couple too. I've had a really negative one that I couldn't shake, which I just recently shook by some friends that helped me out with that.
Yeah.
But sometimes I find going to investigations, we're kind of playing with fire, so to speak.
Yeah.
How do you protect yourself? How do you guard yourself? Or how do you avoid attachments?
Well, we found through doing the years of investigating that most spirits will only attach to you if you allow it to. And usually it's in words that you give it permission, sometimes unknowing permission if you're saying the wrong thing. So we try and be careful of what we're saying. If we're doing a Ouija board session, Ralph's fully trained in that, so he will ask the questions only. So we'll try and keep it as closed as possible. If we want it to happen, then Ralph just lets me go to town, and because he knows I'm a bit silly sometimes. But we've also got crystals that we wear. I wear amethyst, so that enhances my experience. Because since I've been scratched, I've sort of my spiritualist said that I was opened up on that night because there was always something holding me back. But now I'm almost able to, not like a medium, but I can feel the spirits around me. I can feel what they're doing. They sort of put pictures in my head, if that makes sense. I know it sounds a bit crazy, but I think it's a way of their trying to communicate or get something across to me. And when I spoke to Vicky, who was our spiritualist, about it, she said that was always there. But when you were scratched, it basically gave you no doubt that the paranormal field was real. There was something holding you back until that night. Yeah, so crystals mainly.
Crystals.
Sorry,
right?
digress there.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, that's okay.
Merle, you know it's weird. Let's continue on with this for a second. Last night during our show, Duke and I were, Duke for World Bigfoot Radio. Him and I were doing the Magic 8 Ball, and the 8 Ball, believe it or not, we do it every, once a week. We do it. And it was giving the most blasé negative answers last night. I actually smudged it last night, and all of a sudden it was firing out real positive answers right afterwards.
Interesting.
The Magic 8 Ball, the toy, right?
But
More than a toy.
To be technical, you're playing with a device to talk to the other side, be it a spirit box, a Ouija board, a Magic 8 Ball. You're wanting something to come through. So maybe the devil came through to you and he smudged him away.
You smudged him away. I got it going right now here, man. I'm gonna spark it up right here.
Got you going now.
Ralph, how about you? What do you do to protect yourself?
I think, like John says, I'm a little bit more grounded, and it's almost like you have to enclose your emotions. I think when you look back at a lot of the alleged evidence and everything that's come through the books and everything, it's sort of like the more emotional you are, the more acceptable, and you're more of a target for any sort of entities. So it's like if you're also doing that, then coaxing them on as well, and sort of like saying, "Come and get me" as well. That's just sort of like red to a bull, isn't it? At the end of the day, so. It is like that, and like John says, you may be at that level, but sometimes you need that sort of like, come on, just coax them on a little bit, like you would do if you was coaching something, to whoever, to kids or whatever, it's so I turn around and say, no, come on, let's just do it. Sometimes you need that, come on, get it done, and but then there's that point where you turn around and go, actually, if you don't tail it in, you're going to be leaving yourself wide open some pretty severe repercussions. and it's almost like I've become that safety mechanism. And because I'm very much conscious of being that safety mechanism, I close myself off quite well, as in emotionally. So I always feel like I would never be able to be anything other than using my intuition, like we said earlier on, with the sense that something's there. You turn around and go, I don't think I'm alone here. I'm not a psychic. I just get that feeling that I'm not alone. And it's just using that, but knowing where you can close it off. So yeah, for me, that's the ultimate protection. Yeah, we do wear crystals on top of it. I can turn around and say, to date, nothing's come back with me. I've never been affected. So I'm doing something right. I don't know, is my luck going to run out? I don't know, maybe when we get the opportunity to do this again, then I'll let you know then. But yeah.
Ralph, we heard John's story about getting attacked. For you, what is your most memorable or scary encounter that you had?
I think for me, I mean, using the word scary is not something we tend to use with us. We have a very much sort of like fear is not an option slogan. But what we don't do is publish the small print, which is neither is stupidity. So it's sort of like, for me, I think, again, when we was talking about Witch's Wood earlier on, where they get the sense of you being surrounded and stuff, they're the things that stick out in me. It's not they're the big ones for me. We did do one at Beach Caves for, excuse me, for Paraflex, and we was going to do a Ouija board there. There was something about that place, and it's the only location where I was refused to do a board. I couldn't put my finger onto why, but it was the only location. It was something to do with the spirit coming through that we weren't convinced it was who it was saying it was, and that's the only location I've never done. So for me, that is a big one, because, like I say, and you've seen the videos and that, we go all out. We go all out, but as soon as that line is due to be crossed, I'm very much, you know what I mean? But Beach Caves, yeah, we didn't do a board based on that.
I always say there's no caller ID with a spirit board, Ouija board.
No.
That's exactly, yeah.
You never know who you're talking to. I appreciate a good Ouija board session. Like over here, I don't know if it's the same over there. People get all weird about them. But so that someone will pull out a Ouija board and they'll be like, why are you touching that? But then 10 minutes later, they pull out their spirit box and they're asking for ghosts to come through on that. Do you see a difference? I don't. It's a same poop, different pile.
Yeah, it's all divination at the end of the day, and it's like then when you look back to, like, you look back to the 50s and that, there were board games. They were brought out there for families. I mean, you've only got to look at the famous films like The Exorcist and realise that these things were used and accepted as families to use. I mean, crikey, 2 years ago over here, there was being sold for £1 in a shop as gimmicks for Halloween props. It's sort of like, come on, 1 minute you're saying don't use it, and then all of a sudden, because it's labelled as a toy, it becomes acceptable that a 5-year-old could go and pick one up. It's like, come on, let's get real here for a minute. It's either good or bad. I mean, you wouldn't turn around and leave your phone on the side and go, here you go, ring who you want and invite them around, It's
How often do you guys use them? Like, do you use them often on your investigations?
We probably use them 60-70% of the time. It depends on the location.
I've been trying to use them more just as an experiment with them, because I like to use a ton of different stuff just to kind of get a baseline of evidence. And I find a lot of the clients are like, please don't use that in my house. And then I'll say it again, and they'll be like, but do you have a spirit box?
That's where you just prop up the eyebrow and you're like, you're serious, right? You're serious right now.
Yeah.
There are more things that's linked to Ouija boards that do make them, and then sometimes it is that fear of them. I won't use them in domestic properties, especially where there's kids, because of the level of attachment, and the risks are a lot higher than using a telephone light. I mean, at the end of the day, I look at it like this. If you use a spirit box, or shall we say a telephone, they can't shoot you or stab you down the phone. If you use your and you're calling something more physical through, which potentially you can do on a Ouija board, then you can have that repercussion. It's a lot more. It's like opening your front door and just open it up and just saying, come on in, you know what I mean? You don't know whether you're going to get a priest or whether you're going to get a murderer. So, you know, and that's the way I look at it. So, yeah, there are elements that I will not do in general. It's livable domestic properties or places that's got kids in it. And obviously those that don't want it, because there's a general fear, the same as people don't like having tarot cards. You say tarot cards and they go into cold sweats, you know, and it's just one of those.
Yeah, and I have a respect for the Ouija board because I've seen them work. When I was young and dumb, we'd just call out whatever. Like this was probably like high school age, right? And we want to talk to the biggest, baddest, blah 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 blah. And one of my friends was like, "Okay, if you're real, what's my worst fear?" And it actually spelled out white pit bull, like fully spelled out white pit bull. And then the classic, "No, you're moving it. You're moving it."
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, it was late. We went to the store, and then all of a sudden, a white pit bull came out of nowhere and separated our friend from our group while we were walking to the store.
Whoa!
And I had a whole that was probably one of my biggest turning points of A, curiosity, but B, you're really dealing with something that's got a little more power than you give it credit for.
Yeah.
I've had a glass smash. I've been threatened with a letter before. Now I've had an actual letter of the alphabet, the letter O, written in front of me without me writing it. You know, these are all pre-GSI stuff. You know, so yeah, you do. You know, you go on a journey where you learn from your mistakes. So yeah, they are real, but we've done it before. And we've sat down for 20 minutes or so, and the only reason it's moved is because of Christ, man, our arms are getting tired.
Yeah.
Yeah. The fingers start moving.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Well, you know what? I like the Ouija board. Don't have one. It doesn't scare me. I agree with Merle that it is a tool just like anything else, like my magic 8-ball or pendulums or reading tea leaves or whatever it may be. And I don't see a difference. But you do have to use them properly. It's not something that you just, pull off the shelf and make it happen. I mean, you have to be prepared for it. I mean, probably one of my weirdest experiences was seeing a fire start in a fireplace. Yeah. And then it spelt out on the board that I was cold.
Great
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, it happens though. When you guys go into a location, and I'm going to shift a little bit here, how much are you prepared historically or chronologically for that location, considering you get to do all of these really cool old buildings, man?
We go in with minimal knowledge because we want to try and get as much evidence as we can, and then we'll research it afterwards to see if anything marries up. We'll research a location and then have a quick, brief history of what used to be on the site beforehand, and then leave it at that. And if somebody else invites us out to a place and they've already investigated it or they know the history of it, we'll say, right, where we're going, don't tell us anything else. Don't tell us what you've found, what experiences you've had. If you want to write it down, that's fine. And then we'll compare notes after the investigation's been done, and we'll see how close we've hit the bullseye, if possible.
I appreciate that outlook. I'm a history guy. Like, I'll go to history first, but I totally appreciate doing it like that. That's cool.
Yeah. For us, it just means we subconsciously we're not trying to marry up the jigsaw to make it fit for the sake of making it fit.
Exactly.
We want to turn around and get the evidence and turn around and go, how far away from? Has it opened another avenue? And it's one of those, isn't it? And that's where then, as I was talking earlier on, that's when the paranormal community comes together and we turn around and go, right then, let's see what we've got as a group of groups, really, as a community. So yeah.
What would you say is your guys' most compelling piece of evidence to date? That your bragging piece?
For me, I think it has to be the scratch.
The scratch.
Yeah, I think so. Because when we filmed that, on the video itself, I usually edit it quite a lot. Cause, like, as you know, we're there for hours and hours. But the section where the scratch was, I left it unedited for 20, I think it was 26 minutes. So you see the complete lead up to it, and everyone is accounted for the whole time. So no one can say, oh, you went off and did it at such and such a time. I left it completely unedited for a reason. And then, like I say, in the center of a room with 2 video cameras filming me, 4 layers of clothes and a backpack. And it happened when Ralph asked the question to show me where you are. For me, for me, that's almost a golden egg. Apart from a full apparition, that's as good as you can get.
Yep.
Yeah. I was just going to say, sorry, I was just going to say, echo what John says, just witnessing that. That's it. Yeah.
I want to ask you guys, as we got about 4 minutes to go before we got to go to break here at the bottom of the hour, one of the things that scares me about ghosts and spirits, I don't like dealing with child ghosts. That just bothers me and bothers me a lot. With the long history that you have over there in the United Kingdom, do you run into a lot of children ghosts?
Yeah. We find as many children as we do male, female, old, young, teenagers. We've found that over the years that there's certain ways that you can almost coax a spirit out depending on age, sex, things like that, and we do get a fair few children. So I've got a stuffed red teddy bear dragon that I take on investigations, and if we feel, or I feel, or Ralph, or anyone's getting that a child is coming through, then we'll try and put that down on the floor and use that as a way of getting them to communicate, let them know we're no harm to them, we're there for respectful purposes, and that's how we try and work with it. But yeah, we do get quite a few.
Do you have one that sticks out in memory that you could share? As we got about 3 minutes.
I think for me,
there was when myself and one of our team members went to a place called Codner Castle, and we was on our own that night, and we seemed to have got in contact with, I think it was either 11 or 13-year-old teenager, and we'd not done much research beforehand, just what was on the land. And it seemed to be quite negative, or something was negative about not that spirit as such, but what was coming through with that spirit. And the answers we were getting through that she was there, but she'd been killed by a family member, is what we was getting through. So after we went away from the investigation, or put some research into it, and there was a 13-year-old teenager who was killed by her stepfather, I think it was, early 1900s, and he forced a hose pipe down her throat and turned it on, and she basically drowned. And we didn't know that going into it. So that's, I mean, that really, I've got really emotional about that after I'd read it, because that's just horrendous.
Ralph?
Yeah, I think for me, it was when we was up over at Clifton Woods, and we was on the board, and we got through the Ouija board about a young girl being used as a sacrifice to an entity, or something dark. Anyway, we cut the board session short in a nutshell, but 13, 14, and she allowed herself to be sacrificed to this other god of, or religious form, cult, or whatever you want to call it, as part of a ritual. I think for me that was quite compelling to hear that sort of stuff. So yeah, two different scopes there, but yeah.
That would. I'm the same as Dave. I don't like children. Well, it's not that I don't like them. Children go. It's sad talking to dead kids.
Yeah, it's emotional.
Yeah,
definitely.
And we were at I was at a location this past year, and we have a boo buddy that we bring, and it detects EMF and has like a barometer in it and all that. But you bring that out when they say that there's child spirits there. And there's one place where it said 2 children ghosts watch the adults, the living adults. We put the Boo Bear down. It started to trip off. And then I have a Poltertune, which plays a kind of a creepy song on an old-fashioned chiming sound. when you break the IR, like the remote IR blaster, it goes 1.5 meters, and if you break it, Dave, are we stopping?
Yeah, we got to get going here.
Okay.
You already hit your word count again for that.
First half hour. These are all bonus Merles.
Yeah. Merle from Paranormal Road Trippers is our good buddy here and co-host on Ghosts of the Great White North. We're joined by Ralph and John, GSI Paranormal in the United Kingdom. We have them all for another 30 minutes here on Spaced Out Radio. Ghost Stories when we return. All right, we're clear.
Back in a sec, guys. The cat's going again. Sorry.
Right. Merle, I really appreciated the I'm North American.
I just noticed that.
That's a good one.
It's a strong one. Yep.
That is a good one.
Can't wait to see what's next half hour, Dave. Well, let's call them out.
Got a great subscriber story for you. Do you want to save it until after the break, Dave, or do you want to tell it now?
No, we'll wait until after the break. We have a couple questions.
Yeah,
we
fine.
got as well.
So when we're getting you guys over to the UK?
I'm planning a UK Germany trip in 2023.
Count us in.
Okay.
We'll take you to some locations.
Sounds good. I will let you know the dates closer, actually probably pretty soon. My girlfriend's from Germany and she wants to go visit her family, but I'm like, I want to go to the UK to relive my 2005.
Just leave your Man United shirt at home, bud.
No, that's I would love to meet up and we could go do some investigations. I'll bring my to-go bag with some gear and
certainly it'd be good, mate. Say we always look for collaborating with other teams. That you say there's always something you can learn from somebody else, regardless of how experienced you are.
Yeah, I agree. So it'd be cool.
Yeah, definitely. Look forward to it. But
yeah, that'd be the ultimate paranormal. Because my team's Paranormal Road Trippers. That'd be the ultimate road trip.
Oh yeah. Nice segue.
Yeah.
What do you want? Sorry.
They're going to make sure they block all the locations for you, Merle, before you get there.
Excellent. I got my hand slapped for going to a blocked location. Now I can't go there again. Anyhow.
Well, we're actually up to Manchester tomorrow.
Nice.
Is it tomorrow, Ralph? What day is it? Thursday. Sorry. Yeah, we're up to Antwerp Manor. We're filming for Paraflix tomorrow, so that's a place we've not researched at all. We just know where we're going.
That would be that's awesome. How old?
Yeah. Say again. Sorry.
How old is the place?
I don't actually know. To be honest, no, I've not looked into it one single bit. It's just give me the postcode and we'll see you there at about 7 p.m. tomorrow. You know, I maybe should. I'll perhaps later on this afternoon. I'll do a little bit of how old is it, what used to be there, sort of thing. But that's as far as I'll leave it. We're meeting up with another paranormal team, K&L Ghost Hunters. I think they've been there before.
Announced in Vancouver today. Motley Crue, Def Leppard, Poison, and Joan Jett at BC Place.
Are you going to buy our tickets or what?
I am going to try and get some tickets for that.
You got to buy me one. I'm priority.
No, I'm taking my boy, man. That may be that is going to be phenomenal.
We're going to break up if you don't bring me.
I don't know if you could handle that much hair metal in one day.
I am hair metal. Not dad rock, hair metal. I love a good hair metal.
So in answer to your question, Antwerp Mansion, 1842 it was built.
Awesome.
Good
I was
Google.
just looking it up too. I Googled it. Back on topic.
All right, I'm going to put a couple of links in our chat room. If you haven't subscribed to Merle's channel, the Paranormal Road Trippers, there you go. Go over there and sign it on up. Merle it on up over there. Just merle it on up. And for Canada's Great Unknown, we are literally 9 away from 400. 9 away. Can we hit 400 tonight? Would that be too much to ask on Canada's Great Unknown? I don't think so.
We just started that.
I know.
And subscribe to GSI Ghost Sighting Investigators.
That's right.
If you would, it would be amazing.
Yeah. We're begging. Sign up to our channels, people.
Now.
God damn, sign up for it. I'm teasing. All right, we got 30 seconds. Big thank you to Steven, Jojo, Todd, Queen, Ange, and Kira for the amazing super chats tonight. We're going to get to some of your questions as well, so stay tuned here. I know there may we'll start off with Nicola when we come back here. Then we'll go from there.
You have a shout out for Shane and his brilliant
big
WWE post.
Yeah, Shane, big shout out to you, buddy, for that great post. Here we go. We passed the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate it. I want to remind you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, as well as on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. We're going to get to some audience questions here with Merle and the Paranormal Road Trippers on Ghost of the Great White North and our special guest tonight from GSI Paranormal over in the United Kingdom, John and Ralph. Gentlemen, welcome back. And we'll start off with Nicola's question here. John, Ralph, have you guys ever done an investigation where haunted dolls were involved?
In a nutshell, no.
No, I think the closest we ever got to dolls was 30 East Drive in Pontefract.
Oh.
John sat in the room with some nice, lovely porcelain dolls there, and he brought him out in cold sweat. So it's great to see him sit next to those and suffer, But that's the closest we got. No, we've not done that. No.
Merle has. Merle almost got killed by a doll.
They laugh, but it's true.
Really?
Yeah.
Tell the story, Merle.
There's a doll called Mandy the Haunted Doll in a town called Quesnel, British Columbia, and not much is known about this doll. They say it's a German death doll. They say it's an old Victorian doll. It's creepy. Just Google Mandy the Haunted Doll, and this kind of brings me to the respect of haunted objects, artifacts. It kind of changed my outlook. Before Mandy, I was kind of skeptical. I'm like, how can something haunt an object? My mind is more powerful than that inanimate object. That night, it was just your regular investigation. You're setting up your 4 cameras. You're changing all your batteries in your audio recorder. You know the drill. And I see one of the investigators just staring at the doll, kind of head cocked like that, just staring. And one of the other investigators was like, "Hey, man, wake up, clapping in his ears, being annoying, snapping right in front of his face, and he wouldn't stop. He wouldn't even blink. He was just staring at the doll. And fast forward 5 minutes, he comes to, and he runs outside, panicking because he didn't know where he was, and he vomited. And he's like, I don't recall what just happened. And then in my mind, I'm like, okay. And then I go look at the doll, and looking back at it, probably a little arrogant. And then I keep looking. I'm like, really? Did you do this? And then fast forward 5-10 minutes, I just keep looking at the doll, walking back and forth. And then I'm like, hey guys, I'm just going to go to my truck, get a quick drink, then we'll start our investigation, get hydrated. And the last thing I remember was opening the door to my truck. And then all of a sudden, I'm woken up by our team spiritual psychic at the time saying, "Dude, what are you doing?" And I had blanked out, and I was walking towards the provincial highway to like walk onto it.
Wow.
It's a weird story for me to tell because it sounds so silly, but it actually happened. It was so effed up. It took me a long time to even, because David would be like, "Tell your Mandy story for years." And I'm like, "No, man, that's weird to even say on the air." And here we are talking about Mandy and what happened to me. Which brings me into haunted dolls again. Right now, I'm actually doing a research project with 2 supposedly haunted dolls. I got these dolls shipped to me from the United States. And I've solicited 5 teams in the lower in Vancouver surrounding area where I live, and I'm giving them to these teams that I know. They don't know. They sign a non-disclosure, so they don't talk to. They're not supposed to talk to each other. And 5 independent teams doing independent research. I don't tell them where these dolls are from. I don't tell them. Well, they know they're from the States. I don't tell them the history on the dolls. I don't tell them anything. I give them a USB drive, and I tell them, "You have 2 weeks. Have at it."
Yeah.
And then they're going on their last trip tomorrow for 2 weeks. I don't even bring them in my house. They stay in my truck. I don't want they're anyhow. And then once they're done, the last group's done with the dolls, I'm going to tally out of the best of 5, and I'm going to do a little bit of research, and I'm going to regurgitate all their research into video form. And if they're deemed haunted, I'm going to present them to. I partner with a haunted museum in Seattle where if I get haunted artifacts, I'll give them to Ross down in Spooked in Seattle. And my goal is to give them these dolls as certified haunted if they happen to be.
Wow.
Sweet,
Yeah.
man. Jeez.
All right, there's my quota. Go on, Dave.
Yeah, all right. I got a pair of questions from Joe coming up here. Question 1, how often are child spirits actually something evil disguised as a child?
I'd probably say for myself, it's difficult to put a number on it, but I mean, yeah, they usually do seem to like playing off as a child. So for me, I'd probably say 50-50.
I think it's it's in the question really. How do you prove it? You know, how do you prove that sort of thing without 100%? Yeah, highly likely, because are you more likely to accept a child coming through with a sob story than an adult coming through with a sob story? And I think ultimately that is the question before you get to that. So yeah, we do get it. We know we have got it, but how often it's actually happened to us, we couldn't put a number on it.
It's a difficult one.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to Joe's second question. What do you think about dogs? Are they a good partner for a paranormal team?
From our point of view, I mean, to be honest, Dave, it's not really something that I can comment on, as we don't use them. We never have done. I mean, we suspect that cats, dogs can sort of sense other things that we can, but there's not really any proof into that. It's just hearsay. So I don't know, mate, to be honest.
Ralph, what's your thoughts?
Well, I mean, I know of teams that have used dogs and that, and proven to do it. But then at the same time, it's sort of like, again, looking at it from and if it's investigation or more than an interest, it's how many times have you been in a house where a dog or a cat sat staring at a particular part of the room and you're freaked out, and you're like, that what has that dog seen that I've not seen, and it's just freaking. All of a sudden, you've got a guard dog in like that's scared of something, you're scared of it as well. It's. Again, it's one of those, use it as a tool. If you've got a dog that can behave, I mean, I'm not sure I'd want to take a as I call him, a little ankle snapper with me. I'd want to take a big, massive dog, where you need a chain thick enough to keep a ship at port. But, it's one of those for me. Yeah, use it as a tool. I'm not going to turn around and say it's good or bad, but just remember when you go out there, that dog's got to use the toilet breaks, and it don't comply with breaks for humans either. So,
Merle, I'm curious your opinion on this, because I know you're a big dog lover.
I think they could make a good tool to detecting a ghost, perhaps. I wouldn't do it because I kind of fall in line with Ralph, where they may be more high maintenance to take on an investigation. And if I think it would lose focus of the investigation, because you'd be, oh, that dog, he's cute. Look at him sitting there looking up like that. And I wouldn't want to have that variable there. But I know of teams that have used them. I don't think it's bad, because we've talked about that they can possibly detect. They always say cats and dogs can see ghosts, so why not try it? Why not log it? Why not use it as a research tool?
Very true. All right, let's move on to another question. This one from Mystic Moon Cafe. John, Ralph, have you ever investigated any of the old Bedlam asylum sites?
no.
No.
In a nutshell, no.
Are asylums big over there for investigation as they are here?
No, not really.
They're very difficult to get in as well. You know, abandoned hospitals and things like that. They're being developed all the time. Urban explorers get in, and then you hear stories how they've been kicked off, security guards chasing them and that. So for us, we don't want to attract that sort of attention. Besides which, we're not built like runners. So, you know what I mean? We'll go places where we can just happily investigate and not in fear of turning into special ops mission to try and get around the building.
Plus, with the UK being such a small country, there's not many of them about over here.
No.
You know, I mean, we've heard of the odd one or two, but like Ralph said, it's a pain to actually get into the ones that are there. So it deems more of a headache. It's not worthwhile as even attempting.
I want to ask another question here, because I'm a firm believer, along with many people I associate with, that the entire phenomena is tied together. Okay, ghosts, cryptids, the UFO world. Have you guys ever had an investigation where something else peeked into what you were doing?
Ooh. Don't think so, Ralph, have we?
Don't think so. I mean, we've been to places where we've been to Cannock Chase, which is a big popular forest wood, which attracts that sort of thing, black-eyed children, UFO sightings. So we've been to those locations. If it comes in and we can investigate it at that point in time and capture it, then great. But we're not specifically going out to look for that thing and single it out. So, yeah.
Well, I understand, but you guys haven't been on a paranormal investigation where all of a sudden one of your cameras catches a gnome running around or a UFO in the sky.
No, we haven't done any of that. No.
Merle actually had it at a location near my house here where they caught an alien gray.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. Look at Merle sitting there so stoic. Yep.
So, okay, so I've been talking about this. I didn't capture the photo. Team member Jeff caught the photo. There's a photo. We were in an old 1800s post house building where people going up to the gold rush would go water their horses, get food, like a roadhouse. And we were using, it was just a Nikon camera, Coolpix, converted full spectrum. So the full spectrum lens was put in it, and with just a basic IR light. And Jeff was just like this, taking photos, you know, just for the consistency. And for whatever reason, out of like the 300 photos he took with this one photo, because you know how full spectrum is like a purple color.
Yeah.
This went kind of black IR, not like the Sony green, just like the black trap cam IR color. And it looked like there was something in the doorway. Dave says it kind of resembles an alien, like a gray alien, like one of the grays, because you can see eyes and a mouth and like the bigger head on it. It's kind of a cool photo.
The giant oval head with the giant almond-shaped eyes.
Yeah.
Whoa,
It's pretty
Nice
cool.
capture.
my word.
So was it an alien or was it a ghost alien? We
Either
don't know.
way, all tied together. all tied together. Parasolo would like to know, have you ever investigated any old castles or have any plans to?
Yes, we've investigated Codner Castle numerous times. We've been there. I'm sure there's somewhere else castle-wise, Ralph, if you refresh my memory.
We've not been anything specifically castle-wise. We have got plans to do so. So watch this space. Yeah, we've got a couple of locations coming up where they're going to be looking at castles just to make it more, UK orientated for us as well, because of the sort of things that we get over here, which probably you guys don't get over there. So yeah, we've definitely got plans to say Codner Castle is the first one that sticks out.
Joe would like to know, England has been around for a long period of time. Is everything over there haunted?
No. It's a simple answer to that. No, I mean, I think it's like most places or wherever you get at the end of the day, if you get a spirit that feels like they're still attached to, or being still attached to it for whatever reason, whether it's good memories, bad memories, and they're latched on there, then they're going to hang around. We'd like to turn around and think most things rest in peace.
Nicola would like to know if you guys have ever investigated Stonehenge.
No, that's owned by the English Trust, and they want thousands of pounds for you to investigate that after dark. Wow. You can go on like a trail in the day, like a tourist if you like, and see the stones, but you're not allowed to take any equipment and things like that with you. And they literally try and milk you for everything you've got if you want to go after night. Yeah. So no, unfortunately at the moment that's not applicable.
Damn.
Ange in Australia would like to know, have you ever visited Cardiff Castle in Wales?
No, we haven't. Craggy Noss Castle is on our list, and last week we went to Newport in Wales to investigate Secunda Manor, but we've not been to Cardiff. I don't think that's a million miles away from Cardiff, Newport. But again, it's on the list to do. It's just financial at the moment.
Right. Being that it is so historic over there, do you ever get to go into some of these 200, 300, 400, 500-year-old pubs to investigate there? I mean, I could just imagine the stories that are coming out of some of those pubs.
Some good stories.
We've not been in yet, but there's this sort of like we've got the famous one next to Nottingham Castle, which is making in and that, and it's we'd love to get into those locations, but let's be fair at the moment, it's just as we're getting to the peak of our investigation, they're just closing the shop up. So it's one of those, it's working around their business hours because they've got to make that money as well. And again, like John says, it's financial. They ask for a massive amount of money because they can. And unfortunately, we're not financially in that position, and none of us can sing or play the guitar, so we're not going to be able to bust to get any money in.
Right. Well, that brings up a good point, though, because, and I don't talk a lot of COVID on this show because of the hairy directions that it could go in either way, especially with what's happening in Canada right now with our sock boy and, and everything that's happening. So my question to you guys is, with COVID, how did that really affect your investigations over the last couple of years? Because obviously with lockdowns and the way things were going in the UK, at least from what we heard on this angle, that it would have been very difficult for you guys to get in anywhere that wasn't out in nature.
Yeah, we had to stop investigating, what was it, about 12 months in total, Ralph, wasn't it, before? Yeah. It was complete blanket ban on any investigation for at least 12 months. And then they relaxed the restrictions to you was allowed to go out for a couple of hours in two of you, basically, a pair. So then myself and Ralph would do a couple of walks out, like in some haunted woods for a couple of hours, A, for our sanity, B, for some exercise, and C, to try and get some content up for the lovely people that subscribe to us. But that's what we was restricted to for at least 2 years. And then slowly as they lifted the bans, we started to get out again. But yeah, it hit us hard, as I'm sure it did everybody.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Did it tighten up the locations from people being able to go in? Like, even as you're coming out of the restrictions, do you find a lot of other people out there now? Maybe they were free locations before, now like, hey guys, I got to charge you now. I got to make up some money everywhere I can.
Yeah. And the ones that already charged you doubled or tripled their price to try and make some money back, sort of thing, which in a way you can sort of understand because they've been hit as well, but if you're going to double or triple your price, then you're going to get so many less people going because they just simply can't afford it.
Yeah.
Right. And it really brings into more of a paranormal tourism rather than an actual investigation.
100%.
Yeah, absolutely.
So how do you guys as a team rebound from that?
Well, we just, like I say, as the restrictions were lifted, we stuck to the guidelines. But if it said you could go out for an hour in twos, myself and Ralph would go out for an hour. If they slowly restricted it to 3 hours, if they lifted it to 3 hours, we'd go out for 3 hours, and we'd take any opportunity that we could do and any free time that we could to, within the guidelines, go out and get as much content as we could. But they also restricted how far you could travel as well. So that hampered how far we could go. So we had a few repeat investigations at the same locations, unfortunately, but we had to work with what we had, sort of thing.
So what are you looking forward to changing now that things are opening up over there?
How do you mean?
Well, obviously, if you were locked down for 2 years and you finally got your freedom back, because we don't know what freedom here is in Canada, apparently,
Well, we've got a list as long as your arm of locations to hit, Dave. We've been invited up to Scotland. We've been invited over to Canada, down to Cornwall. We've just been invited everywhere. So as far as the finances and the family time will allow us to stretch, we're hitting everywhere that we can.
Ralph, what do you look forward to?
Yeah, I think just getting out there again and getting more contact. We've got different locations coming up. We're traveling further afield. I mean, the good thing is the locations that I look at going to, generally speaking, anyone could walk into. They're free, which is great, financially for us. It's just the time and the petrol money getting down to the locations, and that's what we look for. We do those, and then, we look for the opportunities where we can get into the paid locations at the right price. So, yeah.
You guys have so many historic locations there, that it just intrigues people where you live. I would love to ghost hunt over by where you guys are, only because of the history. But are there locations out there that are, say, more popular that you haven't done that you would like to? Like, I think of whether it's any castles or whether it's any old taverns or old bridges area, because there's always a story about old bridges somewhere. I mean, is there any highlights that you haven't hit yet?
I think Shepton Mallet prison is one. A lot of the big prisons and that, they're the good ones and that. And I think
Drakelow tunnels.
Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, we missed that one. They've closed down. But yeah, there are loads of occasions we wanted the A list, the one where you have to save up really to get on them. If someone's quite happy to donate a couple of opportunities for us to go along, then by all means we'll happily go along. We don't cross anything off the list. It's just time and money and planning, like most things are in everyday life. But yeah, again, like you say though, with having so much history in this country, we've got to say a list as long as my arm, and I ain't got to pay to get in any of those locations as a team, and that's what we look first and foremost. So it's like, why pay to go and do something when we can hit these lesser known locations and get them on the map for the paranormal community, because we're not going to turn around and go, this is an undisclosed location. We're here. This is where we are. Come down, check it out, because we want other groups to collaborate what we have or haven't got.
I don't blame you. Gentlemen, I got to wrap this thing up. Merle, another successful Ghost of the Great White North with you, my friend.
Great show. Great guests.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks for the invite. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
John Ralph from GSI Paranormal in the United Kingdom. Where, quickly here, 20 seconds, where can people find your YouTube channel and your work?
I don't know the link to the YouTube channel, but if you just look for the badge, Google GSI Ghost Sighting Investigators, then you'll find us. And if you want to sign up to Paraflix, which is a subscription based, that's where our TV show is. If you put in a code on the monthly subscription, GSI 10, you'll save a packet on your monthly subscription as well. And if you could just like and subscribe, we'd appreciate it.
Right on. Coming up next, we enter the swamp with Swamp Dweller. And then we got the fedora-wearing John Hudson. Hour 3 of Spaced Out Radio's next. Great show, gentlemen.
Thank you, guys.
Cheers. Yeah, thanks a lot.
Much appreciated.
Yeah, anytime we don't talk politics on this show, but anytime we could get a jab in on the idiot, we allow that.
Surprised me, Dave.
Yeah, we've got an idiot as well, so what can you do?
Oh, you have no idea, John. You have no idea. You have no idea.
He's listening.
You're a Merle Mento.
Merle Mento. What? Yeah, I guess I am. I don't know what that means. Like,
instead of a memento, you're a Merle Mento.
I get you now. Clever.
If anyone in the audience wants to send us any questions about the paranormal, guys, I think it's GSI Paranormal IG on Instagram. Just messages, any questions you've got. If we don't answer straight away, it's usually because we're either working or investigating, but please feel free to get in contact. We're always there to answer any questions.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Gentlemen, I got to get back to preparing for hour number 3 here. Big thank you for you guys getting up early.
It's been a pleasure, guys. Thank you for the invite.
Yeah,
I hope we did you some justice here.
Oh, absolutely.
It's been
Definitely.
a blast. It's been a blast.
It's been great.
All right. And Merle, we should let our audience know that tomorrow there should be some brand new content up on Canada's Great Unknown.
Police stories.
Police stories. Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. That is great. And if we'll all hit Ralph and John, we'll all hit subscribe on your channel. We'd love it if you guys do the same for our channels, Spaced Out Radio, Paranormal Road Trippers, and Canada's Great Unknown. I think you'll really enjoy that. If you wouldn't mind, that would be wonderful.
Certainly, no problem at all.
Yes, definitely.
All right.
And thank you to everyone that subscribed, for who's watching. I really appreciate it.
Oh yeah, my mods have been putting in your links in there, so they're pretty damn good at that. So we'll get you some new subscribers as well.
Brilliant.
All right, Merle it up one last time, people.
Oh, boy.
Big Bad Merle disappears into the sunset. Merle it up.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. It'll happen here momentarily.
Yeah.
I know you all want to watch because it is kind of impressive. It really is.
Yeah, man, I'd love to come investigate out in the UK. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, you're more than welcome anytime. We'll look after you when you come over, bud. And if you're short of guests in, sometime, guys, we'd love to come back on. It's been a blast.
Awesome.
Yeah,
we'd love it.
We'll make it happen. We'll make it happen. All right, guys. Take care, everyone.
Take care, guys. Appreciate it. Thank you.
No problem. No problem. All right. Well, what do you say there, Merle? That was a good show, man.
I think I broke a record today. Achievement unlocked wordage.
I know. I cannot believe that you actually spoke that much.
I gave you the night off. The first half off.
I'm blown away.
Yep.
That doesn't usually work for me.
No, I know.
Mm-hmm.
What will next month bring? We don't know.
I don't know.
Shane's going to make some more WWE memes for us. He's a big wrestling fan. Yep.
That's good.
Yeah.
1 second here. God damn it. Why is literally my phone has been sitting here for 2 hours not charging? You got to be kidding me right now.
Uh-oh.
That just drives me nuts.
They were good guests. I quite like them.
Nice guys. Very nice guys. Very nice guys. Hello, Tom. Merle is the halftime show of not talking. Very nice. That's strong right there.
That was strong. Merle's talked enough.
Mm-hmm. We're all Merle.
Merle there.
Remember, on our store on our website, spacedoutradio.com, you can get your Merle t-shirt and your Paranormal t-shirt.
And hat.
Support the Merle. Support the Merle. All right, buddy.
All right, man.
I'll talk to you tomorrow. You're off tomorrow, right?
Yes.
Okay. We'll talk tomorrow. Probably in the morning.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Au revoir.
See you, buddy.
Bye.
Love the Merle. Love the Merle. How can you not love the Merle? I'm telling you. Merle it up. Merle it up. Oh. All right. Now you just got me. Big thank you to Stephen, Jojo, Todd, Queen, Ange, and Kira for the amazing super chats. Very much appreciated. Very much appreciated. Look at Merle just moving up in the stats right there. Moving up in the stats due to our audience on his YouTube channel. 628. That's awesome. Look at that. Merle says, good night. Oh, that's nice. Merle 316. That may become a shirt. Here we go with hour 3.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Here we go with the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hi to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor. Hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam is set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Ucuscal. Ucuscal is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as a clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot, reading Shirky Poo's Newswire, checking out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, as well as on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. It is time once again where we head into the swamp, and Mr. Swamp Dweller joins us again.
Hi, Spaced Out Radio listeners. This is Swamp Dweller. It's time for your nightly dose of spookiness on the show. If you have an interesting encounter or a spooky story that you would like to share, be sure to submit them in at swampdweller.net. You can also find our YouTube channel at youtube.com/swampdwellerreads. Now, let's chill out, relax, and together, let's enter the swamp.
In New Jersey, most people will talk of the Jersey Devil, especially when working in the parks department. As a park ranger, though, there are other things I've seen in my brief 5 years that I think are far stranger. Everything from your typical ghost sightings in the area to tales of strange people who watch from the tree line or the edges of the woods. All that aside, what I want to talk about is my encounter with what I believe to be a hellhound or some sort of spiritual animal. My story takes place in October of 2016. We were prepping for a Halloween event and some tours we like to do from time to time in the area. These tours include walks through the trails that we decorate to be spooky for kids and young teenagers, talks of local hauntings, and all around general spooky fun. Things these tours aren't supposed to include would be sightings of actual ghosts or me running for my life. I'll get to that though. The early part of this incident mostly includes seeing a dog in the distance. I always saw it at night, and during the tours it seemed to follow and watch. I'm not sure the breed, but it was all black and huge. I've never seen one so big. It was my first time seeing this dog. I tried to get its attention, and it just stared at me. If I tried to approach it, the thing would simply turn and run away. It didn't seem to be threatening, so I eventually just let it be. I'd occasionally check to see if it would follow, and I'd see it and I'd think nothing of it. About mid-October, I remember noticing on the tour that night I didn't see the dog that usually follows. We were about midway through the tour when a woman began screaming. Those on the tour were naturally startled as the scream was loud and it sounded like someone was in unbelievable peril. I took one of my coworkers, who we'll call Randy, and we rushed to go after the source of the screaming. It wasn't long before we found a person laying on the ground in pain. We pulled up to a woman bleeding and screaming hysterically about her husband being drug off by a massive black dog, and that it had mauled her but grabbed him. Once we got her to slow down, we were able to make her make sense. It seemed this dog came from nowhere and vanished just as quickly. The woman described something completely unbelievable. She said she saw this thing dragging her husband into the woods, and both it and her husband vanished into thin air. I was quite skeptical about this and figured her mind was playing tricks on her, and maybe the amount of stress was causing her to hallucinate. I fully believed the dog existed, as I was pretty sure it was the one I had been seeing, but I thought maybe her panic had maybe caused some hysteria, and began to remember things or seeing things that might have not happened. I'm not a psych, but that was my initial theory for what happened. At least, this is what I believed until Halloween night, when we had our biggest celebration. I saw that dog again during the tour. It was the first time I had seen it since the woman reported being mauled by it. The thing looked larger than last time, and I felt much more afraid than I had previously. The entire aura around the thing had changed. The best way I can say this is to say that the first time I saw it, it seemed harmless. But on this night, it felt off. It felt like this thing was staring into my soul. I continued the tour, constantly checking behind me. As I did, and eventually, I noticed the dog didn't appear to be around anymore. The rest of the celebration went well, and once all the festivities were over, and most of the cleanup was done, I told my boss I'd stay behind and lock up and clean up what was left. They asked if I was sure, to which I reassured them that I was, and I wasn't tired anyway, so I'd be passing up the time. Everyone went home at this point, and I was the only person left in the park. I spent about an hour cleaning up and was just finishing throwing out the trash and locking up the station when I went toward my vehicle. It was there, in front of my truck. I saw this thing. It was no longer in the distance. It was straight in front of me, and I'm positive it wasn't there a moment before. It was strange how quickly this dog appeared, and even stranger how scarily huge it was up close. I remember feeling a choking feeling as the dog stared at me. It felt like the life was draining from my body. I remember turning and trying to head back to the station, but as I did, I heard a large bark. The bark didn't sound normal at first. It was quite deep and not entirely like a dog bark. I fell to the ground out of fear and loss of feeling in my legs at first. I remember thinking I need to get up or I'm going to die. Scrambling to my feet, I bolted for the station, unlocked it, and slammed it shut, locking it behind me. I remember the door shaking as this dog slammed against it. I looked around the office and eventually found a flare gun. I grabbed it and aimed it at the door, waiting any second for this thing to just blow through. Not even a moment later, The door began caving in off its hinges, and this huge, black dog stared at me, growling and walking closer. I panic and fire a flare off that hits this dog and sets it ablaze. I then run for a back entrance and bust out the door, running with all my might for my truck. I'm screaming as I reach my truck and jump in. I lock it, turn the key, and fire up my truck in the time to see this dog on fire rushing for my truck. I hit the gas and run into the dog, which damages the front of my truck. Thankfully, I believe I'm safe once my truck bounces from over the body of this huge thing laying on the ground. It is only a few seconds later before it begins to spaz and soon stand up on all fours. I can hear its bones snapping as it heads back in my direction. I am freaked out and run deeper into the woods. I begin screaming my lungs out for help as I run. I can feel that draining feeling growing within me. My thoughts are clouded and my vision begins to blur as I run and force myself to call out. It isn't long before I'm unsure if sound is coming out as I scream and hear nothing. I'm exhausted, but hightailing it deeper anyway. The only thing crossing my mind at this point is that this thing is chasing me, and if it catches me, I'm dead. There will be no ifs, ands, or chances. I just pray, scream, even though I cannot hear a sound, and I keep running. I figure I'll keep going till I collapse or am dragged to God only knows where by that thing. I'm quite sure I'm going to die when I see lights ahead. I think faintly I hear someone asking if everything is all right. I'm waving my arms when I hear a gun go off and feel a bullet go by me. I hear a yelp as I fall to the ground. There's a sheriff, and I'm too exhausted to speak out. I remember feeling sick and throwing up. There was a low growling and then a loud bark before everything went silent again. When things went silent, I felt my vision and hearing return to me. The sheriff took me to a hospital, and I checked out shortly after, perfectly fine other than some scrapes from my falls. I don't know what that thing truly was. I suggested a hellhound, but I'm not sure, to be honest. I have refused to work the Halloween event since, and to my knowledge, there haven't been any more sightings or deaths from that dog. At any rate, that's my story, and I was wondering if anyone had a clue of what this thing could have been. I'm grateful to have not seen it since, but it also opened my mind to a realization and possibility that things out there exist and we can't simply explain it. I am grateful to be alive today, and I pray to never see that thing again.
Thank you, Mr. Swamp Dweller. And if you want more of his stories, head over to YouTube and go to youtube.com/Swamp Dweller Reads. And he's literally got hundreds of hours of high quality stories for all of you. So check it on out. Well, guess what? It is that time once again where we bring in the fedora wearing John Hudson for the unbiased UFO report. All right, we bring in the fedora-wearing John Hudson as we take a look around the world of what's happening with the UFO report. John, it's been a busy couple of days here around the UFO world after being so silent for so long. John, I'm waiting for you to talk here.
I know, buddy. It's good to see you. It's good to see you. Things are certainly. What? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
Wait, this is weird. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Can you hear
us? Good. Yeah. Okay, cool. Okay.
So how's it going, John?
There's this weird delay, though.
Yeah,
I keep hearing repeat of what I'm saying.
We're on live radio, dude. We don't have... Okay, we'll bring John back here momentarily in regards to the stories here. But, I mean, we're trying to fix a technical issue here with John. So, I don't know. Sometimes there is a delay there. You know, when we're on live radio, we got to just keep things going here in regards to the show. So John will be back momentarily in regards to that. And while we're waiting for him to get back, we're going to kind of take a look at some news that's going on here. And we're going to try connecting him once again here. John, is that?
Yeah, that makes more sense. Okay, now I figure out what's going on.
All right, awesome. So, unbiased UFO report here, man. What do you got for us? We're off to a rough start here.
Well, it's going to get rougher for some people. Let me tell you. So, I mean, first off, we have our everyone's favorite friend Abby in the news again. This, unfortunately, is not for anything that's going to be news to any of us. But the good news about it is that this is a Scientific America article, and it basically has the title of saying that Avi Loeb says that aliens have visited, and he's not kidding. And that is a pretty provocative headline for Scientific America. Now, does he actually mean that he believes that aliens have visited Earth? Not necessarily, because if you've listened to any of his talks in depth, you'll see that basically his hypothesis is that if Oumuamua is actually from an intelligent group and not just some kind of random event, that itself represents someone visiting us. And so that's what he's referring to. He's not actually referring to his belief that there are lots of other things floating around the planet, but he does have an open mind to those things. And so the cool thing about this article is that it's certainly not meant for us, but what it does do is it starts to desensitize everyone and start getting everyone used to talking about the topic. Even just seeing in print that aliens have visited, right? I mean, just seeing those words in print is going to cause some people a certain amount of shock, and they need to get acclimated to it. So this is all good stuff.
Why do you think Avi Loeb is pushing the ET narrative?
Well, he doesn't really have a choice. I mean, that's the beautiful thing about Avi is that he's doing what you should do, and he's just following the data. And right now the data is
beautifully put, by the way. Beautifully put.
And the thing is that I mean, from his point of view, I mean, he's just following the data, and I mean, he's he's definitely a really good scientist, and he certainly understands what's going on. He's got an open mind to everything, and so it's not so much that he has an agenda so much. It's just that right now his science is driving him toward his hypothesis that Oumuamua came from some intelligent group, and if that hypothesis supporting data continues to support the hypothesis, therefore it didn't come from around here, right? So it ends up being kind of it's one of the nice things about science is that if you set yourself up correctly, it's not an opinion. You're just basically observing data.
I would agree with that. The idea though is, look, I know Avi Loeb has never strayed off the entire Oumuamua could be an alien artifact. I champion his understanding with that. But if I'm going to add this to it, maybe it's my own reading between the lines here, John, before we move on. But once again, we have another person of note following up on the extraterrestrial front again. We just had Jim Van a couple weeks ago. We've had a number of other people starting to get this whole ET extraterrestrial conversation going.
No, and that's why I said, and the thing is that, look, it's very hard to know, because the thing is that everyone in their different perches of social media and public media, they know the terms, they know the words, they know the things that they're not supposed to say because of fear of what's going on. But then essentially, if someone else in their peer group mentions it, right, then they feel free to talk about it again, right? And so to me, that's something that's probably going to happen.
Wow. I love it. All right. Senator Gillibrand was very vocal in Washington, D.C., bringing up the UAP topic once again. I think we've all been waiting for her to open her mouth about this subject, as she has become the new heavyweight champion in D.C. for politicians going after the UFO story. And good
I'm
on her for it.
I'm gonna start sending her, like, Valentine's cards and stuff. I mean, this woman. Um, so okay, so before I go any further, I want to just read this one exchange that occurred. Okay, so keep in mind that what we have is we have hearings for confirmation. They're confirmation hearings, right? And so different people come in for these. There's multiple people who are trying for the role, and so basically what she does is she specifically asks this candidate's position on specifically the case of the investigation into how the Department of Justice has been handling the UAP issue. Now, she never mentions Sheehan, she never mentions anyone else, but that's what she's referring to. Okay, and so basically she spells this all out to him, and basically what he says is, I'm not familiar with it, right? And so she says, since you are not familiar with it, you can please familiarize yourself with this issue, and respond to those questions in writing before your confirmation, please. And so, I mean, this was a very, very strong statement on her part. She's like, basically, before you even have a chance of confirming, you must respond. You must actually go out and get educated on this, come to some sort of a logical conclusion, at least temporary conclusion, and formally write that back to me in writing. And I want that back before your confirmation hearing. I mean, she just gave him homework. I mean, it's like, in front of, everybody. I mean, it was awesome. It was beautiful. It was a beautiful thing.
Why do you think she is so staunch about this right now?
That's the other lovely part about this, is that what I have linked in my notes is I have the really good article that was over on Liberation Times about it. I have a link to the minute and 33-second video of her exchange with the senator, the senator and the other candidate. But if you go and you listen to the actual full confirmation hearing, what you will see is the question she asks before this question and after this question. And what becomes very, very clear is she goes after people with the exact same passion, with the exact same dictation, with the exact same cadence when it comes to health issues for veterans, any other political issues in the government, and then this UAP issue. And so you can tell that basically her passion and her energy is based in her, and it's not, specific to any one topic. It's her passion for her position and her passion for her belief that she can have an impact and do some good. And that is a very, very, very good characteristic to see in somebody.
I think it's great. You know what I want to see? I want to see her push these potential, confirmation hearings to their limits regarding this subject. And I love the fact that Senator Gillibrand just refuses to take her foot off the gas pedal regarding this subject. That tells me a couple of things. She either got scared by what she learned, all right, or potentially she's an experiencer herself and has seen things that she cannot explain. Because when somebody goes hard on a subject like she is, there's a reason, John. There is a major reason. It's not just out of curiosity.
For normal humans, I 150% agree with her. And I think that one of those two reasons are likely in play. But we have to consider that because of what type of human she is, which is that of a politician, it's also a strong possibility that she has advisors that have gone out and done polling and have come
True.
back to her and said, "Oh my gosh, you would not believe the impact this is having on us. Go full horse," right? I mean, like, and so that could be in play as well.
And I think you're right. I think that, okay, that's a third option. I apologize, but I don't know. Could it be
Yeah,
something?
there's no way to know. Yeah.
Because the other thing that I would, if I could say anything to her, though, I would still just caution her, stop with the threat narrative. I understand it. I get it. But look into the topic a little bit more.
Yeah.
Or her advisors to do it. John, I'm going to get you to hold on right there as we continue the unbiased UFO report with the fedora-wearing John Hudson. And when we return, we are going to get into Luis Elizondo back from D.C., and he's all over the place once again. We'll be back with more Spaced Out Radio right after this with the final half hour. Stay tuned. John, I'm going to let you talk with the audience for a few seconds. I got to hit the bathroom. I'll be right back.
It's all good. It's all good. How's everyone doing? So seriously, like go watch. And I realize I've been really bad about posting my notes lately. They're all written, believe it or not. They're just not posted. But basically, I'll try to make sure I post it today because I'll include the link to the 1 minute 33-second video that shows the exchange. And I really recommend you guys all listen to it because it's a lot of fun. But I do also recommend you listen to the wider exchange because it is an interesting hearing, and you get to see you definitely get to see a sense of who she is and so forth. And like I said, I mean, I shouldn't say I don't care. I do care. But fundamentally, I don't care whether her motivation is because her advisors are telling her it pulls well or because she had an experience. What we have is a smart, competent, skilled politician and orator who is doing a good job of representing an issue that we all care very much about. And that's how democracy works. That's a good thing, right? So. Yeah, she does. She like I said, her consistency. It's quite impressive. I mean, she's still new, right? And so, I hope that she can maintain this energy, going on. But, and honestly, I hate to say this, but I don't even know what state she represents. But for that state, man, you guys definitely brought in a good person, and I hope you keep her around for a long time. Oh, thank you, Julie. It's kind of you. You know what's sad about the hat is that I can't even replace it. I got it at a Banana Republic many, many years ago, and they're incredibly hard to find. Because most ones for me, like, they go up too high. This is kind of one of those low cut ones that are very, very hard to find for some bizarre reason. Right? There's a name for them, but I always forget. Oh, I don't know. It was like, I mean, it's Banana Republic, so I have a hard time believing it was less than $100. I don't think they sell anything for less than $100. Yeah, actually, I'm not into football. I don't really care at all about football. Not a sports fan. But kind of you, Tom.
Sorry, Johnny.
Oh, no, it's all good.
I had to run Doug Stevenson outside.
Yes, I did listen to Elizondo on Fade to Black.
What'd you think of that?
It's actually the basis of what we're about to talk about, and so I thought it was quite good.
Hey, Bim Jim, how you doing, buddy?
Yeah, I had another fedora that my wife got me that I lost. What about it?
Does it come off?
The hat?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, of course.
I've been getting actually a lot of questions about whether or not it actually comes off. You are awesome, dude. You are awesome.
What's funny is that I don't ever wear them I don't ever wear it indoors except for you, Dave.
Oh, dude. Dude, it is part of who you are, and I think it's fantastic. I really do.
Somebody made a comment about me. I shouldn't wear it in the house, and I was like, "You're right," and I feel horrible about it. It's like my grandmother's frowning at me from some other dimension at the moment.
No, I agree with you. Hey, big thank you to Steven, Jojo, Todd, Queen, Ange, and Kira for the super chats tonight. Really much appreciate it. Here starts the final half hour with Fedora John, who we found out the hat does come off.
With a little work.
We rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. Really do appreciate it. I want to remind you that if you missed most of this show or others, check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. We continue on with the fedora-wearing John Hudson, who is hanging on out with us with some of the new UFO news for the Unbiased UFO Report. John, welcome back.
Thank you. I appreciate everyone hanging out with us.
All right, let's get right to Luis Elizondo. He was on another radio show last night and talking about some pretty interesting topics regarding UAP and what's surrounding him.
Yeah, so this was fun, and you know, a quick nod to Fade to Black and Jimmy Church for hosting this and so forth. But yeah, it was a super interesting interview. Elizondo was really pumped. His energy levels were fantastic, and you know, you're starting to see, you know, as I think we first saw come out in your interview with him, you know, you're starting to see his spine more and more in a good, healthy way. You know, like you know, standing up for things and having a stronger opinion about certain things, which I'm really enjoying. But there was a couple highlights that, and I recommend everyone go listen to the interview. It's good. A couple highlights that came out of it. So first off, you know, Elizondo's been at this for a while now, and he's gone on, you know, multiple trips to DC. I mean, I can't tell you, I can't even imagine how many total, but as far as for UAP issues, he's taken several trips there. And basically what he at least, you know, said, you know, on the show, which, you know, hopefully he was being straight with us, was that this was by far the most productive trip he'd ever had to DC on the topic, and that Chris Mellon was with him, that it was a crazily a very successful trip. He went on to say that they discovered through the process, and they can't say for sure whether this had a direct impact, but that article that Chris Mellon recently published in the debrief, the fairly dense 12-page one, that they heard about it while they were in DC, and that article had actually reached some of the highest levels in government. It was that impactful. And it was widely read by some very important people. He wouldn't say who, but it went to some very, very high ranks. And so hats off to Chris Mellon for writing that, because it was a very brave article for Chris Mellon to write. And so, once again, we have no way of knowing whether there was any direct relationship between these things, but you got to understand, government is it's still people, right? So everyone works the same way. So, if you're halfway toward a decision and some other thing happens that tips you in a certain direction, those are the kind of things that kind of tip you one way or the other, right? And so it's not to say that that this article nailed something, but it could have been that someone was not sure whether to take a meeting or not, and did because they read this article, right? Those are the kind of things that happen that can have a huge impact. I mean, huge impact later on in life, right? Or later off in the cycle. The one quote I did want to kind of throw out there, because it was something that Elizondo did not say himself, but it was something that that Church had said that he'd said to him earlier, and but I wanted to quote it directly because this is somewhat out of character for Luis Elizondo, and so I think it's really appropriate. And the first letter is foul language, so I'll save you guys from that. But basically, what he said is, this is all about to hit the fan. Basically he was saying everything's about to come out. And then he went on to say that there in recent weeks there have been multiple events that have occurred. And so, you're thinking, okay, he says it's the most productive meeting ever. Okay, that's great. He says, things are about to hit the fan. Okay, that's a little more, sky high sort of stuff. Talk about the Mellon article. Okay, that's cool and all. But then he starts talking about recent events, right? So the interview pushed back. Well, wait, what do you mean by events? Like, you don't mean like Tic Tac type events, do you? And Elizondo responds with, yes.
Wow.
Now that was not what I was expecting to hear out of his mouth. Now he said yes, and then he followed it on with and other types of events as well. So it's not to say that it was only, but for him to be challenged, for him to say multiple events, like recent events in the past couple weeks, for him to say multiple, impactful events seen by multiple branches of the military, not just the Navy. That was another point that came out. And then for that to be pushed back upon and say, but you don't mean like a Tic Tac event, do you? And for him to then, not take that out, but step up to it and say yes. I was honestly, I was shocked. I really was. I was quite shocked.
Wow. This was also the first time that Elizondo has spoken publicly since the highly controversial documentary that was made about him by another YouTube channel. Did he mention anything about that?
No, not that I'm aware of. He didn't mention anything about that. He's basically, I honestly, I'm not. I think at this point, I'm not. I don't know, but I'm not sure he cares. Now he did at one point in the discussion talk about the fact that there were a lot of really negative people at play, and that there was a lot of actual criminal activity at play, and if someone were to kind of like re-listen to his language, you might be able to parse it to indicate that there was some sort of an indication that that there was something going on about that case, but he did not speak about it directly at all. He basically, honestly, I'd forgotten about it until you said something.
Well, you know what? It's just one of those things we had to mention. I was wondering if he did. I didn't get a chance to hear the interview last night because obviously I'm preparing for our show and then into our show. So, good on him for taking the high road with it. That's for sure. That's very much for sure. Now, back to the fact that he's saying there have been new Tic Tac incidents going on, or incidents going on you're nodding your head, shaking your head.
I'm because of the amount that you can read into that statement, I am absolutely in shock that he left that out there like that. Honestly, I would have advised him not to. I would have said, tighten that up, man, because you're leaving that way too open. Because the thing is that if I were to interpret it, I would interpret it and say, okay, what makes the Tic Tac event so significant, and we've heard him say it, is that there are multiple data sources, right? Multiple confirming data sources. So is that what he means? Okay, that makes logical sense, because if it was picked up by one of the branches of the government and it was done in military settings, then you would have multiple settings. If he's specifically talking about the Tic Tac itself and what it did and how it behaved, that's a very different thing, and that would still qualify with what he said. And so that's why I say I think his language is a little loose.
Wow. I guess we're just going to have to wait till it all comes out. I'm wondering if this means we're going to get new videos. I don't see them giving big time information. I think the trickle effect continues.
Yeah, well, and the really hard part, because someone asked me about this the other day about whether I thought we're going to see new videos anytime soon. And we keep hearing whispers. We heard whispers about a February 15th thing for a while. We heard about a March 15th thing for a while. We've heard things. And if you go back historically, in the weeks before a new report has come out, some video has actually come out. But here's the problem. None of them have been officially released. Every time any of this recording to come out, it's been a one-off. Every one has been different. It's been a one-off situation, which means there's no consistency, there's no pattern, and there's no way to predict whether it's going to happen or not. So it sucks, because it means that we can't actually predict whether any video will come out or not. But my hopes is that something will. It's just a question of where it comes from.
All right. Finally tonight, we are going to take a look at a weird picture.
Yes.
That you wanted to kind of share.
Yes.
So tell us about this photo for our radio audience.
Yeah. So basically, this is a so let me first say that I don't share Mars videos. I don't share Mars photos. I don't do this for a reason, because I understand how human minds work, and because it's so easy to see things in everything and get very upset about it and blah, blah, blah. This is the first thing I have seen ever that I have been like, wow, I don't know what to do with that.
Once again, for our radio audience who can't see this, we need to
please. I apologize. Sorry, I saw it up on your screen and I got stuck, hung up on staring at it again. So basically, what it looks like is it looks like something that was very specifically made. It's a piece of material that appears to have been carved into certain angles, with certain waves, with certain patterns, with certain flow to it, that almost looks like it might have been some sort of a tool of some sort, but not a tool that I would recognize in any way, shape, or form. But this thing honestly, it's beautiful. It's art.
It looks like a duck.
Okay, I could see that. Assuming, depending on and the problem is we don't know if we're looking at the bottom of it, the top of it, and it doesn't mean that it's not natural. No, look at this. That still could. I can think of some pretty weird circumstances where something like that could possibly happen. But to me, it doesn't look like very likely. To me, it looks like somebody dropped that, right?
Yeah,
That's what it looked like to me.
Where was this found on Mars? Number one, but number two, was it found by the rover or was it found by something else? Do we know the actual size of it?
In the I need to go back to the original. In the original picture, they have the size information down at the bottom. So I don't remember it being very large. And my understanding is that this was captured by the latest what's the name of the latest one? I forget the name of the latest one. It has a helicopter that goes off. Anyway,
It's not Perseverance.
is it Perseverance? I think it is, because Opportunity was before. So I mean, basically, it was taken. It's by that mission. It's
Incredible.
a beautiful photo.
I would like that. Honestly, it does look like a piece of art.
Yeah,
it does.
It does. And the thing is, the thing that's so hard to understand about it is that there are so many different angles on it that if you were to assume that this was done by some sort of a wind, right? Then some other impact would have had to turn that thing at many different angles and left it there for some period of time for that new plane to have been created, and then rotated. I mean, like, honestly, it'd be difficult to do.
Very true. John, another impressive segment of the Unbiased UFO Report.
Thank you,
Your
sir.
hat looks fantastic. And you know what? Where can people follow you on Twitter?
It's basically just my handle, Desmodin. So yeah. But I'm happy to talk to people about it on Twitter.
Wonderful. All right, let's get to Shirky Poo's news. All right, let's see what Shirky Poo has for us in store tonight. Start off at Disney World, where there was no magic for a pair of drunken sisters. The sisters reportedly brawled, stripped, fell into some bushes, and one even fell on the other's vomit. Yeah, it all happened in October in Orlando, according to the Disney blog. And the sisters were tourists from New Jersey who began the night eating at a steakhouse at the amusement park before going to an Irish pub for some drinks. The women, 29 and 31, eventually tried to leave, but their phone died, and an Uber driver refused to take them because they were just way too drunk. While they waited for a taxi, they allegedly began arguing, the older sister calling the younger sibling a bad mom and slapped her. The younger sister then allegedly threatened to punch her. They fought, they were pulled apart, and tried to fight each other again. Once separated, both sisters ran at each other, slipped in one of the sisters' vomit, then fell into the bushes while fighting. Yeah, and then the younger sister ran a few feet away, took off her dress, exposing her breasts. Shortly after, they began punching each other again. Police from the Orlando County Sheriff's Office arrived around 12:40 a.m. to find the younger sister screaming and crying near Cirque du Soleil, steps from the watermelon and mango parking lots. She was stripped down to only her underwear and sandals, and the two sisters were arrested. I'm sure mom and dad are proud. A Washington woman is ready to give up fast food. Why? Because an old McDonald's burger still looks the same as it did 5 years ago. Megan Condry bought a double cheeseburger from McDonald's, we'll make that a couple of cheeseburgers from McDonald's in 2017, but she only ate one and forgot about the second for 5 days. She ended up keeping it as an experiment when she noticed it had not started to rot after that time. 3 weeks went by. She rediscovered that her now 5-year-old burger still looks the same. I was in the closet sorting my Christmas stuff. Hold on, what the hell do you have a McDonald's cheeseburger in your closet for? That's just gross. So she goes on, I was in the closet sorting my Christmas stuff, and I knocked the bag and the burger rolled out. I'd forgotten about it. It was rock hard as a hockey puck. I could probably smash a window with it. Everything is completely dry, and it could start to crumble. Condry said it doesn't smell and had not shrunk in size. I assume there is no bacteria to it. It makes me sick. I think it has so many preservatives in it, or how else would it have lasted that long? Condry decided to wrap up the burger again and put it in the closet for another 5 years to see what happens. I'm surprised mice and rats didn't eat it, to be honest. Here's a cool story. The remains of a mini boat launched by New Hampshire middle schoolers has been discovered by a 6th grade student in Norway 462 days and more than 8,300 miles later. It was an eventual journey for the 5.5-foot boat, which was built by 2 consecutive middle school science classes in partnership with the nonprofit organization Educational Passages. And it first set sail from Massachusetts in October 2020. The boat's GPS reported intermittently over the years until the end of January, when a family recovered it from an uninhabited Norwegian island thanks to a social media connection. Our midi boat made it to the local school in Norway. Their 6th grade class opened the hatch to find our package of materials all dry inside. Amazing considering the condition the boat was in. How awesome is that? How awesome is that? What an experience for all of those children combined. And finally, the mayor of an upscale city outside of Cleveland is making headlines again for a remark at a recent city council meeting that allowing ice fishing shanties or tents on a city lake could lead to prostitution. Hudson Mayor Craig Schubert is literally driving with 2 flat tires and said in front of council that he wanted to raise some data points during a discussion about whether to permit people to ice fish on the frozen lake. Does someone come back next year and say, I want an ice shanty on Hudson Springs Park for X amount of time? And then if you allow ice fishing with shanties, then that leads to another problem, prostitution, because ice fishing always leads to prostitution. I don't know how you connect the two, but apparently Hudson, Ohio's mayor somehow can correlate that through 6 degrees of separation. Unbelievable. You can't make this up. All right, let's get to the thought of the Dave, shall we? Where are we here? My goodness, I lost it. There it is. Why do you ghost hunt? Terry, because I'm not a believer, I'm a knower. Chris, to get a television show. Michael, I don't, but I would like to for the rush at least once. Vincent, because they make the greatest hunting trophies. They're a little tricky to get mounted, though. All right, Bobby, to give my taxidermist a challenge. Joe, because it's there. John, because they taste like chicken. Nikki, I don't, because I already have plenty of spirit souls of the deceased who have crossed over around me. Mama Susan, Dave, just wanted to let you know. All right, I appreciate that, Mama. Yep, nothing to do with this, but we will go. Gail gets the final word, and, you know, with her beehive hairdo, she says, I do not. Once they have left this hot mess of a life, I believe they should be left alone to finally have some peace. Well, there you go. Thank you, Shirky Poo, for doing all of that, getting our news together. Thank you to everybody participating in the Thought of the Dave. Of course, to the fedora-wearing John Hudson, as we had another successful unbiased UFO report. Swamp Dweller, for another great story, literally having us shaking our boots. Swamp Dweller reads on YouTube. You can check it on out. All of his stories are free. And, of course, to Merle, John, and Ralph from GSI Paranormal in the UK joining us for a great edition of Ghosts of the Great White North. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god itself. Special thanks to everybody sitting in their homes, in their cars, at work, wherever they may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LGAV, Revolution Radio, Spreaker, Facebook, and on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio.
I know you're out there somewhere.
Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends,
we're watching.
We own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night. But soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night. One sec, Fedora. There he is.
Oh, it's all good.
Handsome dude you are.
Oh, too kind, sir.
I'm telling you right now, Johnny, you make it to Vegas, I'm going to buy you a taco. I'm going to buy you a taco, buddy.
Yep. I hope if I get a job soon, I can attend.
Mm-hmm.
And although it's been irritating me to no end, because this one place I interviewed with, like the last interview I had with them was like end of December, and like they called me like all like, you know, like, well, we're sorry we haven't gotten back to you. We really want you to come on. Like, you know, we'll hopefully be back to you, you know, first, you know, like beginning of January. They're like, if anyone else tries to make you an offer, let us know. I'm like, yeah, no problem. And then like still waiting.
Oh man, I'm so sorry for you.
Oh no. It's
look,
whether you're looking for whether you're looking for permanent work or whether you're looking for contract work or whether you're looking for any kind of work, this is just how it goes, you know. It's like this is how it is, you know. And I'd much rather be going through this now looking for a full-time job than looking for the part-time, the contract stuff I've been doing, because that's just like, you know, it's just repeatedly, you know, just going after it and so forth. You can make good money doing it, but you know, it's a little feast or famine.
Mm-hmm. I hear you, buddy. I hear you.
Although I must admit, I've really liked doing the consulting stuff because, you know, it gives you a lot more time.
How's your girl feeling?
Doing good. It's actually nice. She's off next week, so she can spend the week with me.
Has California lifted any mandates yet?
No, there is talk. There is talk of trying to do something, but the problem is that, you know, every time they start talking about lifting any kind of mandates, they start talking about whether they should be lifted for everyone or only those that have been vaccinated, and then they get into this whole debate about who has and who hasn't, how to prove it, and it just falls apart. It's sad.
It's real easy. You just take them off. But that's just me. Who am I?
Well, you know, for a lot of it, like the wearing the mask in most places, I really don't care. And honestly, I think we're going to see masks in certain areas continue to be used even after this all ends, because there's other benefits to it.
The paranoid have to have something to cling on to, right?
Well, I can tell you that my daughter and I have found ourselves keeping them on at times during walks because it kept our faces warm.
War? Oh, you got to be kidding me right now. You wash your mouth out with soap. It doesn't get cold there.
Well, it does if you're a tenderfoot like we are in California, man.
Oh, man.
The temperature range is like almost nothing. So.
Oh my goodness. How will you survive? How do you do it?
Well, luckily I travel. You know, I've traveled a lot, so I've been able to experience a lot of other climates. You know, other places, but you know.
I know. I just like harassing you about it.
It's trust me, dude. No, you're not off, man. It's like I mean, the only reason why I can snowboard is because I go numb.
Come on, Johnny.
No, but the one thing the most of the mask stuff I don't really care about. The one thing that I really do want them to change, like as soon as possible, is for the kids in class, because to me, wearing a mask in class while you're trying to learn is just like that to me is just like been the worst. I'm not saying that I'm for or against it. I'm just saying that as a kid, I just can't even fathom how hard that must be.
Let's hit the brakes in the chat room, people. Hit
Yeah,
the brakes.
we're trying to talk. We're trying to talk about this honestly, folks. Don't get into it.
Well, I am. I live in the one province. We're like California here, where it's ridiculous. But I'm not going to get into that. I am not going to get into that.
Well, and the thing is that the one thing I will say is that, like, I mean, honestly, for how much support and how much assistance and how much just goodwill that has come out of this state to our citizens during this whole period, that has been so over the top and beyond what I could have even hoped out of my own state, that honestly they can do a lot of harm at this point, and I'd be okay with it, because I'm blown away. I'm absolutely blown away by what they've done for all of us. It is. There's a lot of us that would not have survived if we hadn't been in another state.
Well, that's what your tax dollars are for.
Yep.
But we all pay high taxes, right?
Yep. Well, and taxes are taxes are a funny thing. Taxes are a funny thing. The thing I'm so confused by, just totally changing topics on you, is that Luis Elizondo he's a smart dude. He's very practiced at communication.
Yes.
And so the likelihood of him saying something by accident is just really low. And like the things that he said on that show, I'm amazed he said them. I'm
happy about it.
I am too, but
he gives
makes me wonder, like, what did he see that gave him this much confidence?
Well, the one thing that I've learned with Lou is he gives a lot of golden nuggets. Hey, there's the gorgeous and talented Nicole Sakic.
Oh, the famous author decided to join us. I'm glad she's an author now. That's cool.
Yep. I'm a fan of hers.
Yeah, no, me too. She's super cool.
Brilliant lady. This field. And we're lucky we got her around here, that she loves us.
Yep. Total spy.
Mm-hmm. By the way, John, just to, kind of tease you a little bit for the Vegas party, it looks like former spy Rick Doty is going to be in attendance.
Are you serious?
Dead serious.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I posted, Nicole and I were talking last night before the show, and she reminded me that he lived in Vegas. Hi, Sensational Sherry. And I sent Rick a message before the show last night saying, hey, this is what we're doing with our fans. We'd love it if you could attend. And he's like, well, let me see what I can do. Not sure my schedule just yet. And I said, well, I can show you the message. I said, well, I'm going to make sure that Nicole Sakic makes sure that you can come. And so I begged Nicole, it cost me a steak dinner in Vegas. And he came out and told Nicole today that since Nicole is going to be there, that he will be there for our Vegas party.
You know, he's actually someone who I wouldn't mind meeting. He's an interesting cat.
I like him.
I do too, and I've exchanged one or two messages with him. I think on Facebook or something, and he's very polite, and you know, just, you know, I don't know. To me, like I can remember seeing interviews of him back when he was still active, and thinking like, what creeps that guy gave me, and just how just completely dishonest he seemed. Like he gave out, and to me he's a different person now, like a totally different person. Like I don't get that read from him at all anymore when I hear him talk. I mean, I'm sure a lot of what he believes to be true isn't actually true, and that, you know, and so you could say he's lying in that way. But I do believe that what he's saying he believes. And like it's weird, like people have this idea that like if you lie for a living, that it's because it's in your nature and because you like it, and that you're going to continue doing that in every other aspect of your life. And like I've never understood why people come to this conclusion, because if you've ever spent any time with humans, you realize that that's not how we work at all, in any way, shape, or form. I mean, even if you just do something during the day, you don't want to do it at night. I mean, go ask some IT person after dinner if they want to fix their computer and duck, right? Because I mean, it won't end well, right? I mean, it's like, so, you know, so to me, like the assumption that, you know, to me, I mean, for someone like him, if he really had to deceive as much as it appears that he did, to me, after retiring from that, the last thing I'd want to do is deceive anybody. I'd be sick of it.
I think you get so entrenched in the game that it just becomes normalcy.
No. But the thing is it there's the ability to lie, and then there's the desire to lie. You know, and you can get really good at lying. Like I used to suck at it, and I worked at it for a while, and I tried. I got much better at it. I was amazed how good you can get at it. But it no matter how good you get at the mechanics of it, you know, it's based on whether your inner nature has any desire to do it. And most people are just doing it to protect themselves from embarrassment, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm. No, I get that, and I can appreciate that. I'll never forget one of my first conversations with Rick Doty, first time he came on Spaced Out Radio, when he announced it that he was going to be on our show. He told me he had a bunch of people email him, say it's about time you were going on Spaced Out Radio. So
yeah, he's a you know, yeah, it's you know, I wasn't around, and so I'm not, you know, I won't judge anyone for having very strong feelings about Richard Doty. You know, I didn't know Benowitz. I wasn't around for any of that stuff, and I know it was hard. And so, you know, just what, you know, it's not my world, unfortunately, or fortunately, I guess I might say. But, you know, but outside of that, you know, and giving those people room to deal with their own, you know, emotional challenges their own ways, because, you know, I'm not sure I could say I wouldn't feel the same way if I was in their shoes. But, you know, to me, you know, and I think a lot of it comes down to what I've done for a living myself, and what I've seen other people do for a living that I've worked very closely with, and I know what it's like to have a job that isn't you, you know, and you know, it's not fair. It's really not fair to always brand people like that, and you know, and the thing is that, you know, from this, you know, from that point on, as you said yourself, he seems very polite. He's very friendly to people. He's very open. He's very willing to talk. He's very willing to share. He's, and honestly, compared to some of the other people around, he's actually somewhat outgoing and friendly. So I mean, it's cool.
Very cool. Very cool.
Now, you weren't into this topic at all when that whole Benowitz thing went down, right?
Didn't even know about it. Didn't even know about it. I was so blind. The Michael Leger, we're sending you love, man. We're sending you major love right now, buddy.
I discovered that I don't know if it's true for other people, but I discovered that for me, the trick to lying is you have to convince yourself. And basically, if you can containerize yourself in a way that allows you to convince yourself of something that you know isn't true for a short period of time, and you can maintain that illusion in your own mind, then you can lie. But it's not easy at all. It's a lot of work. And it's not worth it. Because then you got to track it all. Ugh. End up with spreadsheets. You ever read the book Freakonomics?
No, I have not.
Have you heard of it?
No, I have not, buddy. I'm sorry.
Oh no worries. It's an older book. I think they've done newer versions of it. It's a really amazing book, and it's written by these two guys where they basically do this very kind of interesting analysis of the reality of humanity. So, for example, they take a look at, and they use statistics. And so it's basically a psychiatrist and a statistician that got together. Now they have a podcast. And so, like, one of the things they did a study of, they did a study on why teachers in Chicago got caught cheating on their students' tests for their students without their students' knowledge. Like, how does that work? Or, how do sumo wrestlers in Japan get caught faking a match, right? Like, those are the kind of things they look into, right? And one of the things they ended up looking into was the reality of drug dealing. What's really involved in dealing drugs, illegally. And so they basically got a hold of someone who had embedded himself with a drug dealer for a significant period of time, and to basically, and the guy who did the research was kind of perfect for the role. He was kind of because he had kind of 2 feet in each side, but the one of the things he got was that and once again, it can't be said that this is true all over the place, but at least for this one kind of group of drug dealers in I believe it was in New York. They paid death benefits.
Really, eh?
If someone died in the course of work, and they had a wife, or even had a girlfriend who had a child with them, they would actually give them money as death benefits. Right?
No way.
And the guy that was running that gang actually had an economics degree. And he kept meticulous books on every street corner, the results of everything you could possibly imagine. and he kept track of what everyone got paid and who got paid, death benefits, the whole night. It was incredibly important to him that he ran a very fair, illegal business.
Weird.
And that's actually more common than you think.
Okay. Eh?
More common than you think. Yeah, very much old school mafia rules. Because those old school mafia rules weren't old school mafia rules, they were old school human rules, right? They were old school rules about how people gather and how you build trust and how you build leadership and how you build conformity, how you build teamwork, how do you build anything? You know, I mean, it's like, it's all very logical. You know, I mean, you know, companies really, it cracks me up how often I'll see companies, you know, decrying, you know, the lack of love that they feel from their employees, and it's like, well, are you really that shocked? You know, whereas, you know, you find those companies that really go all out for their employees, and those employees, you know, I mean, it's like, one of the most valuable things I ever learned in like a management class was this one place that said they said people come to a company but they leave a manager, you know, and so it's kind of funny the way it plays out.
Interesting.
Yep.
See where we are here.
Because the thing is that you always join companies because of the idea, right? It's the idea of that company. It's the idea of their product. It's the idea of what you're going to be doing. It's the idea of the manager you're going to be working with or the team you're going to be on, whatever, right? But very often when people leave places, it's because they got driven away by bad management.
I think there was a statistic in Canada a couple of years ago. I think it was like 5 years ago, that something like 82% or 83% of people who have quit a job when they've been there for 5 years or longer is always because of bad management.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Time and time again.
Mm-hmm.
Time and time again. I mean, I can tell you that me personally, like I have in my career, I have a list I keep. I've reported to, I think now I'm up to like 22 different people, and 5 of them would I ever report to again.
Mm-hmm. That's why I quit radio.
Yeah.
True story.
Yep.
Yeah, that's why I quit radio. Bad management. You putting in some chewing tobacco there or what?
Oh no, I'm just tugging on my lip, reading something.
Oh yeah. No, the best move I ever did in my life was quit radio. First time around. I haven't quit the second time around yet. Oh yeah.
I was going to say, your
I could
story
tell
about
you
quitting kind of loses some luster considering the fact that we're talking about it on the radio. But
yeah, I can tell you the 2 instances that led me to quitting. The final 2, which was there was another guy in our sports department that wanted my job. And he told me right to my face, I will do anything to take your job over.
weird.
Yeah. And long story short, I caught him giving my breaking story to another to another radio station because he was trying to get a job there too. And I brought that up to the attention of my news director, who brought it to my sports director, knowing that my sports director, this was his golden boy I was picking on. Not picking on, but who I was ratting out. And I got a 2-hour beratement the next day about what a poor example of an employee I am. Even though in the Rogers handbook, it says if you were caught giving information on stories to another competing media outlet, it can be result in immediate dismissal. And I got yelled at for doing that. For ratting him out. And then 4 months later, I was already going through a very hard separation with my ex-wife, and my boss comes out with the summer schedule, which sees me going from seeing my daughter 3.5 days a week down to less than a day and a half. He changed my schedule. In fact, he improved someone's schedule to screw mine over. Wow. And I had already taken a course privately to move on to my next career, which I do now. And I said to him, I said, I can't work this schedule. I don't get to see my kids, right? Because at that time I still had a relationship with my stepdaughter. And he looked me deadpan in the eye, and he's like, I don't give a fuck about what you think about your schedule or if you see your kids or not. This is the schedule. If you don't like it, quit. So 2 weeks later, 2 weeks into the schedule, he takes time off. I get a phone call from a company who wants to hire me, starting me at $1,700 more a month than what I was getting at the radio station.
Oh, wow.
And I gave them 24 hours notice to replace me. And then the assistant news director comes back at me and he's like, can you give me 2 days? I said, absolutely. And I wrote a suicide type letter knowing that I would never, ever come back. I wrote this long letter calling out all the bullshit that I had to deal with. And I sent it to 50 different staff members. And I walked out the door. Never turned back. Never.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's such a weird situation, to be honest with you. All right, anyone got any questions? Let's talk about the moment.
That's sent. That's sent. That's sending. I mean, this is the kind of guy, John. I know you won't really understand this because you're not a sports guy. In 2007, it was a record year for British Columbia hockey players, where we were going to see 5 British Columbia hockey players be drafted into the first round of the NHL draft.
Wow.
Okay. Never happened before, hasn't happened since.
Yeah.
So my boss tells me, I want you to go out and get all 5 players. I want interviews with all 5 leading up to the draft. Okay. I got 4 of the 5.
Ooh. Well
One
done,
guy
sir.
never called me back. Okay. And I tried reaching him and reaching him and reaching him. Never called me back. Long story short, we were the only media outlet that got all 4. And I had a bunch of my fellow reporters that I liked calling me up saying, hey, can I get so-and-so's number for an interview? Or I can't reach so-and-so. Can I use clips from your interview if I give you credit?
Oh,
I said,
okay.
absolutely. Right? Absolutely. So the next day, my boss calls me up after his shift because he worked the morning shift, calls me up after his shift and absolutely chews my ass out because I didn't get the 5th guy. Yeah. I didn't get the 5th guy.
I love people
And he
like that.
chewed my ass out. And I said, I got 4 of them. We're the only media outlet that got 4. He goes, I told you I wanted all 5. Right? Oh, I could have killed him. I knew why he was doing it. He wanted to make me quit.
Yeah. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Well, and that's the thing, that's the rotten part, is that in so many situations, that's what's going on. And, they don't just, they can't just play it straight. And
Oh, yeah.
It's beyond, it's just beyond frustrating, without a doubt.
I remember when I got into my other business and I doubled my annual salary in my other business. I sent him a copy of my pay stub. This was like 2-3 years later. I sent him a copy of my pay stub thanking him for getting me out of radio. I hated the man that much.
Wow.
On that note, we are
Mind.
going to say goodnight because I have to get up with my boy for school in the morning. And I got to make sure he's all ready. I want to say a big thank you to Stephen, Jojo, Todd, Queen, Ange, and Kira for the amazing super chats. Tomorrow night on the show, we're going to talk UFOs and shadow people with a former nuclear weapons technician for the United States Air Force, Adrian Reister, and what he knows about UFOs and stuff. It's going to be a very, very good show tomorrow night. You're going to want to tune in and check it on out. All right. Oh. Adrian's pretty new to the scene, but this guy knows his stuff. And
Dave's excited. Dave's giving a hook.
Excited about it.
That's cool, man. That's fun.
Thank you to everybody who's subscribed to Canada's Great Unknown and to our channel here, Spaced Out Radio. We really appreciate it. Thank you to all the veterans who've tuned in, all of our regulars, and to the fedora-wearing John Hudson. We bid adieu to all of you tonight, and we'll see you tomorrow.